The following broadcast is intended for mature audiences. These are real people sharing very real, deeply personal experiences. This content may be considered triggering for others and for those who are sharing. The chat room is a privilege intended for discussions and sharing. You are not being asked to agree, but you are being asked to stay civil and refrain from personal attacks. Listener discretion is advised.
All right, welcome back to Am I Mental, a weekly live podcast where real people share their experiences with mental health and things that impact their mental health. I am your host, E. With us, as always, are the co-hosts, Bexy.
Hello.
And C.
Hello.
And yes, we are now officially into Season 6, Episode 1 with the first guest of the season. We have Edward with us. How you doing?
Great to be with y'all.
And definitely thank you for coming. So before we get started, just want to remind everybody that we definitely have to do our own little housekeeping here. We have to pay the bills. If you like what you hear, share your episodes with others, especially ones that resonate with you think will resonate with others. It's the best way to help us out. And if you want to help us further than just by sharing episodes, go to amimental.net/donate. We have a number of ways to donate, including a Teespring store where we have masks, even though they're kind of going by the wayside now. We do have stickers, tote bags, shirts, hoodies, and a few other products. And if there's anything that you would like, just email me at e@amimental.net. Let me know what you want. I'll go ahead and get it made. And without further ado, Edward, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Well, I am 49 years old. Young. Old. Whatever you'd like to call it. I'm currently living in Dallas, Texas, originally from San Diego, California. Not a whole lot more to it than that, really, honestly.
All right, so what are we going to talk about?
Let's talk about my mental health. What we really we started out in a bad way as a youngster. Growing up as the fat kid. You're bullied, you're picked on. The only positive about that is after a while you're bigger than everybody else, and you don't have to worry about it so much anymore. But depression has been rampant throughout my life. It did start in childhood. I was medicated as a teen after a few suicide attempts, and kind of got me back on track. You know, we were doing okay for a while, but still was medicated for depression for several years, until we went through our second divorce, and we kind of started having those feelings again. We weren't on any meds at that point, but we found salvation in the friends and the family, and kind of got back on point. And after you go through a divorce in general, it can be traumatic.
Oh, don't I know it? I found myself in the 5150 tank in a 72-hour hold after a divorce. So yeah.
The first one was amicable. The second one was a little more unexpected because I had just lost my father. He ended up getting a blood clot during a heart procedure that went to his brainstem and took him out. Basically, I was living in Indiana at the time and had to fly out to California to visit him while he was on life support just to kind of say goodbye. And when I returned home to Indiana, the second day I was home, my wife decided that was the perfect time to tell me, I think we're done with this. So it was a hell of a week, for sure.
Wow.
Ouch.
Yeah. And, not being around for your kids is very hard. Even if, you want to be a full-time dad, but at that point I had a a back procedure where they fused my L1, 2, and my L3, 4 vertebrae, and I came out of it very bad. I couldn't walk for a year. I was on all the opioids. I walked with a cane and a walker, and I was going through a divorce, and really with nowhere to go, not able to work, everything falling apart. That was my next suicidal tendency that and my sister, luckily enough, took me into her place in Oklahoma, and I was mad at the world. I was mad at God. I was mad at everything, and it actually took that anger. I mean, hydrotherapy was great. Water therapy was getting my muscles working again, but I think the anger that I possessed at the world motivated me to just get out and do things. And when I first got there, I would literally take my walker and walk to the stop sign, which was maybe 100 yards down the road and back, just to keep doing something and keep my muscles in motion. And eventually we could get to a park that was like a half a mile away, and my sister would pick me up, and then I could get to and from the park. And then we went from the walker to the cane, and then we could walk around the park, and everything started firing again. And I was like, well, this is, we've got a positive now. We're not as depressed. We're not as down. We don't feel like a miserable failure. And, that was the one thing in that second marriage, is I always felt inadequate. And that is one of the feelings that I can't stand in life. There are two things that really drive me crazy. One is feeling inadequate, and the two is feeling helpless, not being able to help someone, when it's just out of your control. So that tells you what kind of heart I have. But back to, my back and my muscles working and everything. And I mean, it made me feel like a human again. It took me over a year to start dating again, because I wasn't ready for any of that, where my wife was, right back at it 3 months later, which makes you feel less important, but just like whatever. And that's what actually brought me to Texas. I met a girl down here, and we started dating. She had a very sick mother, and her mother passed away. And I ended up, instead of coming for visits, I ended up staying, getting a job. When I first started, I walked with a limp, but it's just being back into the workforce, being back into using all my muscles. My back is good. I'm literally 100% better. You couldn't tell I have any physical ailments anymore. But now we're all mental again, because of all the stuff that's been going on recently, which is probably the whole reason I decided to do this with y'all. Things did not work out with that girl, but we remained friends and roommates. And actually, right now, that same girl that I moved down here for is my roommate now. But the whole reason of how my life fell apart is I told myself, I will date, especially after 2 failed marriages, I will never get married again.
There's that word.
Right.
I was never going to get remarried. I was never going to have more kids. Got remarried and had 2 more kids.
Right. See. But that was the plan, Date around, keep the walls up, don't fall in love, never get married. And I had a horrible night at work one night, and I am not a drinker. I don't drink. This doesn't happen. I never started. To be 49 years old and not a drinker, it's I don't know if I'm a prude, I mean, I've never even tried any illegal drugs, but I guess I've been on plenty of the shit that doctors have prescribed. So,
in a way, you've had your fair share of drug experiences, just not, non-doctor approved ones.
Correct.
Well, I smoked pot before it was legal.
So, yeah, I've never even done that.
I've done shrooms, and that's the extent of my illegal drug use. I got unlucky for shrooms.
I think the only drug that ever had made me curious, and was ecstasy. And it really just happened because one night when I worked security for 8 years, and it was a large residential condominium complex overlooking a lake, and beautiful place, very expensive to live there, California, of course. But I remember, it took you a half hour to drive around the whole complex in a golf cart, right? One night I'm driving and I see this guy just standing through this window in front of the refrigerator, and I realized I'd made about 3 passes and this guy had not moved. And so I knew the person that lived there, and she was just sitting on the stairs out in front of her condo. And I'm like, is that a standee in there? Do you have like one of those standee? And she's like, no, that's my friend, whatever. And I'm like, he's been in front of your refrigerator for almost 2 hours. She's like, yeah, he's on X. And I'm like, what the hell does that do to you? Because I'm oblivious to shit like that. And she's like, it just makes you find everything beautiful. I'm like, I've never deemed a refrigerator hot in my entire life.
It was probably the sensation of the cold air hitting him that felt really good because it heightens sensations. So I've heard. I have never done it.
I've never done it, but I've heard that if you ever have sex on E, it ruins sex. Unless you're on E.
Yeah.
I heard it actually, puts you into like systematic overdrive to have sex on it. But, I don't know how cold it was, though. The refrigerator was closed. I mean, just standing.
Something about it very beautiful then.
Maybe the texture on the refrigerator door got them.
Right, the bright silver color. Who knows?
I mean, funny enough that...
All right, see, have you done E?
No, but I want to, but my friend has. She's told me it's like magic. She was literally like touching her hair all like this. She's like, I know you can't see it, but this is literal magic. I'm like, oh, okay. Sounds interesting.
See, I have more fun watching people trip than I do tripping myself, so...
I'm the one that's so susceptible to not over the counter, I'm sorry, but like prescription pain medicines and things like that. The reason I don't take prescription pain medicine is the last time I took a Vicodin, I was laughing at a woman on television for 20 minutes because she had big eyeballs and that they looked like cow eyes to me, and I found this hilariously funny. And then I got up out of the bed where I was, and I was on my way to the bathroom, and I remember I touched my hand to the wall, and I meant to say I was rubbing the wall, and people are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I meant to tell them that my hand itched, and I was scratching it, but what I said was, the wall is itchy. And that's all I could say, over and over. The wall is itchy, the wall is itchy. And they're looking at me going, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, please don't give me Vicodin anymore.
Note to self, Vicodin shakes when I'm going to visit Bexy. And live stream on YouTube.
Yeah. Live
weird.
reaction.
You give
So many
me
of those beds
I'm not guaranteeing what's going to happen. I will probably do something very freaking weird.
That's natural, though, I think.
Yeah, the dumbest thing that ever came out of my mouth, I was stoned. I have a very addictive personality, so I was like, sure, I'll try weed. And I became wake and bake for like 8 years.
Oh, wow.
And the dumbest thing that ever came out of my mouth was, does my hand feel numb to you?
No, the dumbest thing I've ever said while is I made myself a plate of food. I had a piece of chicken on it. I took a bite of the chicken. I'm chewing the chicken and thinking to myself, ooh, this is really good chicken. I looked down at my plate and went, who the fuck ate a bite of my chicken? Bite of chicken. So,
one of the funniest things I ever zinged my ex with, though, because we were both we were stunned and we were eating pizza sticks, which are amazing. And she's all, there's a hole in my straw. And I said, well, how else is it supposed to work?
Right.
I had a pizza stick go fly towards my head over that one.
I would have thrown something at you too.
She's like, you asshole, there's an extra hole that doesn't belong. I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense.
I can't believe Vicodin did that to you, though. Like, Vicodin, like, most of the pain meds relax you. Vicodin, I cannot sleep on. I will close my eyes. I can relax, but I can't sleep. I can close my eyes and I can tell you, it's like my sensations or senses are heightened. Like, I can tell you everything that's going on around, but, you know, my eyes are completely closed, but I can't sleep.
Yeah, I have nightmares when I take it too. So when I'm not like feeling it really good and being goofy, when I finally fall asleep, I have horrible night terrors. So yeah, I don't take prescription pain meds.
Yeah, well, after my back surgery, the first thing they put me on was hydrocodone? No, not hydrocodone. What was it? Hydromorphone. Another morphine. I could literally be mid-conversation and fall asleep. And my daughter laughed so much, she'd be talking to me, and she'd be like, Dad, what? You fell asleep again? And she'd be laughing her ass off, and I'm like, not that funny. I can't control it. We didn't stay on that stuff very long because I couldn't handle it. But
yeah, I've only been on morphine once in my life, and that was when I had burns. And made me actually. I wished it would have made me sleep, but unfortunately, not even morphine takes away the pain from third-degree burns.
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, it's bad.
Wow.
I don't ever want to experience second or third degree burns. I really don't ever want to experience it.
They suck, big balls, Harry.
I'm sure. I was on a
Something wrong with hairy balls?
Depends on who you ask.
They're a little harder to suck on.
I've never tried.
Anyway, I did spend a week.
Shut up next.
I did spend a week on a pediatric burn unit when I was working for a hospital automation company. Just seeing 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds, like 30, 40, and like 60% covered second and third degree burns. It was hurtful just to see it.
Oh, I bet it was brutal.
It was. But I made a point to go every day, like when I first got on the shift, because I was doing swing shift. So I'd go in first thing when the kids were still awake, and I'd go to each one and make them laugh. And the first experience I saw, because I'm standing there talking to the charge nurse, and I hear these little footsteps coming behind me, and all she said is, "She is beautiful." That's all the warning that I was given. I turned around, and I mean, her face, like she had half her face bandaged up, one eye covered. It was a birthday dress that caught on fire when trying to blow out the candles.
Oh, man.
And I just got down on one knee to get to her level, and I said, "And who's this beautiful princess?" And I have never seen a child light up like that before. And I have 5 kids. But, because they're scared that I'm going to, like, recoil back and be like, "Yeah, get away from me." Because, they know that they don't look great.
Right.
But, yeah, after I did that, I actually wound up coming home and finding a box of chocolates and a thank you card sitting at my desk from the nurses in that unit.
Awesome.
Aww.
Because I help make their jobs so much easier by going around and helping the kids keep their spirits up.
That's awesome.
I couldn't help it.
Where were you when I needed you the last 3 months?
Here.
Right. Exactly.
That stuck with me instead.
Oh no. That's so bad.
Yes, I'm not gonna lie, my Rebecca has been great. I appreciate you like you wouldn't believe.
Her heart is just a ray of sunshine. It really is.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't stop. Bye.
I mean, I forget you're the only one that knows my whole story. So, yeah. But it all started with I had a shit night at work. It was awful. And I told myself, fuck it, I'm not a drinker, but I'm going to go and drink something. So I went to a restaurant right around the corner from where I work, sat up at the bar. If I drink anything, I don't want to really taste the alcohol. It's got to be a girly fruity drink because I can turn in my mouth now when it comes to that, because it's not anything that burns and all that stuff. Like, nope, sorry.
Yeah, that's something that you kind of have to build up to a little bit.
Yeah. So I ordered these little lemon and blueberry somethings. I don't even remember the name. And I look next to me, and in the chair next to me is a bone, dog bone, with keys attached to it. And I'm thinking that's kind of a hefty set of fucking keys to lug around. Like, who the hell would take that around? And on the other side of that chair is this gorgeous creature that man, I don't know, just took my breath away. And I just happened to ask if those were her keys. She said no. I gave them to the bartender, and her and I struck up about a 2-hour conversation. I knew that night, after that conversation, that this woman was going to be the rest of my life. And it sounds crazy, but never really believed in like the whole love at first sight thing, anything like that, because I was never going to do shit again. Remember?
Yep.
However, we exchanged phone numbers, talked every day for a few days leading up to our first date, which was on a Friday night. Had reservations at this Italian restaurant. Met her about an hour before our reservations, and we went to the little pub next door, and she got a drink and I got a Coke because I'm so risque and brave and everything. And we sat there talking, and as the reservations got closer, I realized got to take the little man to the restroom. So I told her I'd be right back. Had to run to the restroom. She grabbed my shirt, pulled me in, and kissed me, and that was it. I was done. I was hers. Like, just on a first kiss. I was like, take me. I didn't say that, but I was like, I went into the restroom, and I probably did like what you would see out of a touchdown dance from somebody that just scored. You know, like I was just like totally smitten, enamored. Like it was, okay, I've waited my whole life for this.
This is like one of the better romantic comedies right here.
It's, dude, I'm telling you, it was like yeah.
Disney would want to steal this story so far.
Right. You know, guy who gives up on love finally meets the girl of his dreams. And we hadn't even been to dinner yet. So I come back out. I mean, the entire time we were just sitting across from each other, holding hands, talking, getting to know each other even deeper, you know, in person. We'd spent so many hours on the phone that we were already crushing before we ever actually spent that time together.
I'm guessing basically you were walking on clouds the entire time.
Oh, floating. We got to the restaurant. She didn't want to sit across from me. She wanted to sit next to me.
I love that, personally.
Right. And we touched the entire time. Whether it was knee to knee, hand on knee, me running my fingers through her hair, her arm around me, it was just constant contact. And honestly, that was the way it was the entire relationship. The end of that meal, now we did go see a movie after that. But at the end of that meal, I looked at her and I said, I'm sorry. This is something that I would never, ever say to somebody. And it's probably not good that I'm going to do it now, but I have to tell you, I am going to fall completely head over heels in love with you. And I'm sorry if it scares you, but it's going to happen. And I'm just warning you right now. At which she said doesn't bother me at all. The next day, she came up to where I work and brought her son and her mom. And, you know, I got a quick visit with them, but her and I got a little private time. And she pulled me aside and just said, hey, that thing you told me last night, she said, I feel the same damn way. And when I tell you we were inseparable. Like, saw each other virtually every day. It was like you said, it was like something out of a Disney movie. Everything, whether, you know, if I worked a later shift, she would come on her lunch. We'd spend lunch together. We'd spend, you know, any time that we got, we were together. We did trips together. One of my favorite pastimes, and it's because from growing up in San Diego, my grandparents and parents took me to the horse races all the time. I grew up at the track.
Oh, the Del Mar racetrack. That's a beautiful track.
Beautiful track. But imagine
I've spent 6 years in San Diego, so yeah, I spent a little time at the track.
Yeah, so imagine going there 4 days a week as a kid, all the way up till your 20s. So yeah, they loved it. And after my grandfather passed, I kept going with my grandmother. So it's it was fun. But then after I moved in my late 20s and everything, and I hadn't gone. So once I got here to Dallas, and I was like, shit, they have Lone Star there. Lone Star used to be like this great park. They held a Breeders' Cup there, so I ended up taking her there, and she fell in love with it. And so we would go often to that. She decided she wanted to go to other tracks, so we went up to Oklahoma and went to Remington. We went to Louisiana Downs. I mean, she just loved doing that. I mean, it was just like a memory that right now I haven't been able to go back to the track since we split, but just it's a trigger. But yeah, so I mean, we made trips. I mean, like I said, we were inseparable. Now, I was warned in advance that her mother was a narcissist, and
that's never good.
No, and when I tell you, she's not a narcissist; she's the narcissist. If you pull out the dictionary right now and you look up narcissist, narcissism, whatever, her mom's photograph will be right there. I mean, that is that lady. So I'm just a basic guy working a $15 an hour job, which, mom is a Jewish ex-doctor who is completely all about her. I couldn't tell the day I met her. I just thought she was being polite and stuff. But when there were gatherings that we spent time with her mother, I would often see how we could say 2 words, the conversation would automatically be about her, and she would just keep going with it. And it was her. Nobody was ever good enough for anything. I mean, I had to comfort my ex so many times during those 2 years from things her mother said, things her mother did, and just hold her from crying because her mom was so mean.
And narcissists have a way of saying things that stick.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, after being in that for 2 years and seeing the way that her mom treated her and all that stuff, I was like, my God, this poor woman.
They're basically like emotional porcupine quills.
Yeah.
They get way in there and they are hard to remove.
Right. And I mean, she had to grow up like this. Like I said, there's an age gap between us. My ex is 34. She'll be 35 soon. I'm 49. So we did have that 14 and a half year gap between us, but it still was magic. So I used to tell her, you stand up to your mom, stand up to her, and she
easier said than done.
Yeah, exactly. And I know Becky, but seriously, it killed me. And I used to tell her, I'm like, let me talk to your mom then. Just let me what she's doing wrong to you.
Standing up to a narcissist, you're just going to get gaslighting the whole time.
Right. So, as I said, this relationship, golden. Even with that, we on our 1 year anniversary, we went to Branson, and I'd never been. I didn't know much about it. I just heard it was kind of like the Las Vegas of, the middle of America, and you just and it's so small. I couldn't believe how small it was, because you're thinking it's supposed to have more theaters per capita than so. We get there, and I have no idea. I didn't research anything. I just thought, okay, it's a good getaway. Literally, it's the dark time of the year, so only one show is running in the entire fucking place. Oh, Jesus. Here we are with, no wonder we got these great rates on our rooms overlooking the lake and all this stuff, because there wasn't shit happening there.
And
So
we just got a comment about it. DeVerne said Branson is gross.
well, we absolutely enjoyed it. I mean, we went to the one show. There were some museums open, like the Titanic Museum. You know, speaking of our Titanic comment from earlier, but you know, it's and that hits you in the feels. Seeing some of that stuff from the bottom of the ocean and everything that happened, and they have a great wax museum there where people actually look like people. You know, but it it was a good old time, and Slick Anson with his never decided he was gonna have a ring on that trip on our 1 year anniversary, and we took this this thing. There's a Facebook page that for Branson, and I had asked in this group, just hey, if I was going to pop the question to my girlfriend, where would I do it? Where should I do it? All this stuff, and all of a sudden, like everyone, like the first 4 or 5 comments were like, do it at the Titanic Museum.
Okay, that is a terrible idea. What happened to the Titanic?
Right,
but my first marriage. Guess what song was sung when my now ex-wife was walked down the aisle? My heart will go on.
Right,
prophetic.
Well, they got that full-on replica of the staircase there. Like exact replica of the grand staircase. So people were saying, okay, yeah, that's a good spot. But after those first 5 comments or so, the next 80 or 90 comments were like, you have to do it at Top of the Rock. You have to do it at Top of the Rock. You have to do it at Top of the Rock. So me being me, like, what the fuck is Top of the Rock? So I go and look it up, and it's like, there's a resort up there. There's restaurants. It's literally overlooks the entire lake that we were staying on, that we had the condo on. And they're like, you take this golf cart tour and you go through caverns, and there's waterfalls everywhere, and there's animals. And so I was like, okay, well, 90 people can't be wrong. So that's where I'll do it. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to keep this ring in my pocket, and we take this golf cart tour. And I'm thinking the whole time she can feel this against her leg, but luckily she didn't. And we had passed by this herd of deer, and, she was just like enamored, and everything was like perfect. And we got by this first waterfall, and they had this grate where you can just literally stand, like the waterfall runs across the path that you drive across, and then you can stand on this grate and overlook like the waterfall going down. And there was a million more waterfalls on that whole trip, but it was a beautiful thing. And I decided, okay, this is where I'm going to do it. I helped her off the grate. We started walking back toward the golf cart, and she turned around, and somebody's on their knee, and she starts to bawl, and she's crying. So guess who else is crying? This guy right here.
Aww.
Oh, yeah, you can ask her. Yeah. So I decided, though, I wasn't going to rehearse anything. I didn't want to rehearse anything. I wanted it to be straight from the heart. I told her how she was the most amazing, kindest, most beautiful thing I had ever met in my entire life. Of course, it went on for a lot longer than that. And then the last thing I said before I said the "Will you marry me?" was, from this moment on, I pledge the rest of my life to you. And I meant it. I meant every word of it. And she said yes. We put the ring on. We embraced. We kissed. I had forgotten my phone because I'm great. She took a quick picture. Her phone died, and we have one photo from that whole incident. And
beautiful.
It was perfect. I have no other way to describe it than that it was perfect. Give me a minute.
You're fine. Take your time.
Of course.
For what it's worth, we just updated the name drop counter.
Yeah.
No, I saw that.
Anyhow. So you guys, just from knowing me for the few minutes that you have, kind of can tell I'm a jokester, I'm a prankster, I'm a goofball.
You remind me a lot of me.
Yeah. Well,
Me too. And that's
it's an honor.
a good thing.
It's an honor. Thank you. Because I've heard a lot about you from this one. So,
But they're all lies.
So, first
They're
thing we
not
did,
all lies. You really did motorboat my boobs through my phone.
She said that she put the phone. She said that she put her phone between her boobs. I went.
oh. And from the view I see, it's not very bad. I mean, you could house a family of 8 in there comfortably, I think. Just saying.
I think I could hide a 6-pack of beer bottles in my boobs. Seriously.
Look, she's close enough to the Mexican border. She could smuggle families.
Right. Right.
That's true.
So me and my sense of humor decide to take a video when we get back to our. No, my phone has charged because I left it. And so I start at the door, and I've watched this numerous times since we split because I don't know. I just like going back and seeing how happy we were. But I give everybody a tour of our room, and down to the shitter. Even look, we got a great shitter. We got here's the baby making room where we're not making any babies. Here's this. Here's that. Here's the view from our balcony. All this stuff, and here is who, and what's that on your finger there? Oh, somebody got engaged. Interesting. Just so that went out to the world on Facebook, and everybody was happy. I was happy. Everything was golden. And we decided, okay, well, once we got back from that trip, we were going to work on getting her out of her mother's house where she lived. And, it was very toxic there, obviously. And so we decided we were going to move in together. We were shooting for April. It didn't happen. But we still had the perfect relationship. I mean, nothing has ever been comparable to the love that her and I had. Like, nothing in my life. And like I said, as being somebody who was twice divorced, I have never gone through the pain that I have gone through in these last 14 weeks. However, we were able to get into our own place in August. Own apartment. It was great. Super excited. She's excited. Everything is going like it's supposed to be. I feel like you just, when you're so content and happy with your life, like everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be. Even in the middle of a pandemic. I decided to go back to work, even though I was making more money being on unemployment. She was working from home, which I think was probably the worst thing ever because, now granted, she's had a lot of health issues, and I've gone through those battles with her. I have been by her side through so many things. She never had, the whole first year we were dating, she was so insecure. Like, I've never seen anybody just belittle themselves so bad. Like, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I look like an ogre. She hated herself. Meanwhile, I looked at her and saw a woman that I couldn't have designed any better myself.
Okay, this sounds, and I don't mean this in any kind of rude way. I mean it in the sweetest possible way. It sounds like Shrek.
Yeah.
That you're Shrek and you absolutely see the beauty in your Fiona, and the Fiona doesn't see the beauty in herself.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, since the breakup, I've gone through and read every social media message we've ever sent to each other, every text message we've ever sent to each other. And literally month 3, when we were dating, she sent me this message and said, "I can't believe you love me. I'm not easy to love." And I said, my response was, what's not easy to love about you? It's the easiest thing I've ever done. And she's like, yeah, well, just wait, somewhere down the road, it's going to go sideways, and I'm sure my mother will have a lot to do with it. She always tries to, you know, ruin everything and sabotage everything when I'm happy.
That sounds a lot like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Little did I think that I still don't have really that many answers, so that's only a suspicion that had a lot to do with it. Again, I said, like, everything was perfect. I went back to work. Unfortunately, I had to take a pay cut to go back to work. So not only am I making less money, we're making less money than I was on unemployment. I'm making less money than I was before they shut us down, you know, so, but we still made enough. I mean, we were making the bills, we were making everything was fine. She decided to get a new vehicle. So her vehicle, you know, the car payments went up, the insurance went up, but still we were making it. And again, honestly, up until the end, I never really saw anything going wrong. I still go back and look for signs of something, and I couldn't find anything. And her son, he's a little special needs in the fact that he's like really overboard, ADD, ADHD. He has to go to a special school that narcissistic grandma foots the bill for, which is $20,000 a year. And I think that right there is one of the reasons she would never stand up to her mom. We broke up March 16th of this year. And in February, we're still together. January, we had our second anniversary. Everything golden. Went back to the first place we had our first date. Everything golden. Rebecca, I know you've seen the card. She tried to say near the end there that she'd been unhappy since October. But looking at that anniversary card, just the personal touches that were put on it.
That was not something that was written by a woman who was not in love. I'm sorry, but it wasn't.
No. Just so, you know, in February is her mother's birthday, and we were going over there for a special birthday dinner, all this stuff, you know, and I dreaded spending time over there over those 2 years just because I couldn't handle the way that she treated her, you know, and like I said, all the time for those 2 years that I had to comfort her and listen to her cry because of the way her mother treated her, you know, it just killed me. Well, she conveniently tells me about 3 days before the dinner that, just want you to know that my mom, the entire 2 years that we've been dating, has been trying to set me up with other men behind your back, because you're not good enough for me. You don't make enough money. You don't do this. You're not trying to better yourself. So basically, you're not worthy. And I said, well, that's great. That'll give me something to talk to her about at dinner. And she was like, no, you can't. You can't. There's no way. She could pull her funding for Joe or for her son's school. She could pull, you know, this and that. You can't.
And a narcissist would.
Right. And I'm like, but why? You know, at least let somebody stand up to her. And she's like, you can't. You know, you could be ruining my life. And so when we went to that dinner, she made me promise. And literally the last photograph that I took of my ex was on that day. Her mom knew I was upset. I didn't really speak to her. We came out of that dinner. It was very awkward. And at home, I didn't feel any different. She was still super affectionate, super loving, super everything. But somewhere in early March, I started seeing signs. One of the deals that she made with me when we first started dating, she said, look, she goes, can I have the code to your phone? Sure. You can look at it anytime you want. She said, let's make a deal so we never hide anything from each other because of all that we've been through. Both have been cheated on numerous times, been through hell and back, all this stuff. And she said, I promise you that I would never cheat on you. I'd never pull any of the bullshit that we've been through. If I ever got tired of the relationship, I promise you I would leave it before ever talking to someone else. And I said, great, I promise the same. And so she's like, I can have your phone code. I said, yeah. I gave her my phone. I had nothing to hide. So over the course of those 2+ years, she looked at my phone maybe 3 times. I never asked her once for her phone. And so the last week or so before she ended it, she started checking up on me at work. Like, what time are you coming home? Like, how's it going? How long you got left? And immediately, for someone who's lived through this shit before, it was like red flag. Red flag. I know with her son in the house, she's not bringing anybody over, but why do you need to know when I come home? Usually I come home, you're asleep. So it just started throwing up those red flags, and I'm like, she's talking to somebody. I feel it in my heart, she's talking to somebody else. So a week or 10 days of that happens. And 1 week. Now I told you about the health problems. She found out that she, at 34, had a bunch of cancerous polyps, precancerous polyps all over her ovaries. She's been in a lot of pain. She has to have a hysterectomy. So she's been in a lot of pain, and there hasn't been a lot of intimacy in those 8 months that we lived together, which is fine because I would never want her to do anything she didn't want to do in the first place, but I would never want to do anything that would make her uncomfortable if she's suffering. So right. I didn't put any pressure on her for any kind of loving or anything. If I ever mentioned it, though, I was out of line, but if I didn't mention it, I was not attracted to her. So it was kind of that damned if you do, damned if you don't type thing.
Gotta love those catch-22s.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, exactly 1 week before we split up, we were in bed, and she was giving me all the signs of go, and we made love, and it was beautiful. It hadn't happened that much, and I was like, okay, well, maybe the relationship's back on track. Maybe my theories or stuff that we've been going through, maybe I'm just overthinking, whatever, and so that was on a Tuesday. And then I was off on a Friday, and we did our normal thing. We got dinner. We were watching our TV shows on the couch. Everything seems like it's golden. And she's like, I'm tired. I think, or no, she asked me. Because I don't know. I still felt awkward. And we're even though everything seems fine, I still in my head think that there's something not fine. And so we're watching a show, and I was like, a single tear just is rolling down my left cheek. She's sitting on my left side, so she looks up at me and she's like, what's going on in your head right now? And I said, I feel like something's wrong. I said, even though we just made love 3 days ago and I feel like we're kind of back on track. I said, I still feel like there's something going on. Something doesn't feel right. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like you don't want to be in this right now. There's something. I said, we're disconnected. And she pulled my head to her chest, and she held me, and she told me that I was crazy, that there's nothing wrong. She loved me, da-da-da-da-da, don't overthink anything. And I'm like, okay. And I'm not usually the insecure one. I mean, that's the person she's been the entire relationship. And so anyway, she says, I'm kind of tired. I think I'm going to go to sleep. And I'm like, okay. And then she completely does a 360 and said, you know what? My son asked me to come in and watch him play video games, which he hasn't done in a long time. So I think I'll go in there and watch him play for a little bit. Okay. I didn't think nothing of it. I keep watching TV, but I hear her talking in there. And, she could have been talking to her son. Okay, but I pop my head in. I'm like, she's got her earphones in. She's on, and I'm like, are you talking on the phone? She's like, no, I'm just watching these videos. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, you came in here to watch your son play video games. And and I know you're lying to me right now. This is what I'm thinking, but I'm not saying it. Okay. So I go back out there. And then she had kind of, being the horse racing fan that she was right now, they were doing a feature story on this one horse that she liked. I was watching horse racing at the time, like something I recorded. And so I popped my head back in there, and she gave me the look again. And I'm like, hey, they're doing this story on that horse. Do you want to come see? And she's like, no, I'm good. And I'm like thinking, that's just weird. That's not her.
And you were tearing pages right out of my relationship with my ex. Different details, but the same theme.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. But, so I just went to bed. She followed shortly after. She came in again and was like, we are fine. Don't worry about a thing. There's nothing wrong. We are fine. Okay. Well, again, that was Friday. She's always been, until the end, I mean, I assure you, she was always the kindest, most sweetest, most loving human being that I had ever met. Anybody who gets to know her loves her. Like, you become addicted to how sweet she is and her personality. Like, you just don't see any negative sign to this person. Like, it is just, all my friends loved her. I mean, everything. So Saturday, the next day, I'm working. She does what she typically does. She'll just drop by work and bring me something, whether it was lunch or energy drink or a coffee. I mean, she was just that sweet. I always had like a medical kit at work, like stuff she brought me. And she made sure I had ibuprofen, migraine meds, cold meds. I mean, anything. She took such good care of me. I mean, that's, when you love somebody, that's the kind of care you get. You give and you get, and we would do the same thing for each other like that. So she met with some of my coworkers, and everything was great. Went home that night again after a weird text wondering what time I was coming home. And then Sunday when I got home from work the next day, usually even if she was awake, she'd always greet me happily. She was always, even though she was in bed most of the time, she'd be like, hey, baby, or whatever. And I walked in that night on Sunday, and she was like, hey. And I was like, ooh. I don't know who that is. And I'm like, are you okay? She's like, yeah. So I hopped into bed next to her. I wrapped my arm around her, and I said, are you sure everything's okay? Because I said, I know you better than anybody else. I've always been able to read when something's wrong, whatever. And she uses the following words. I don't know what I want. And it crushed me because I looked at her and I said, what? She's like, I don't know what I want. And I said, you've been assuring me that everything's fine, yet I've been reading all the signs. I'm like, you don't even have to add the words that you don't want me to the end of that, because that's what it feels like. And I started sobbing, man, because I was ready to die with this woman at my side. Like, I have never gone as all in with someone in my entire life as I did with her.
And I don't know if you saw me do it when
I saw your reaction.
Sword to the heart and cut through the guts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had that exact phrase.
Yeah.
And I felt the same way.
Yep. I went out to the living room and I was sobbing. I mean, just sobbing. Like, I don't think I had cried that hard since my grandfather passed away when I was 10. Just that long. It wasn't just like...
The hardest and longest I ever sobbed was for my ex.
Yeah. And it lasted, I mean, I kid you not, it lasted hours. Hours. She came out after about 10 minutes and said, "Can I hug you?" And I said, "I don't know. I mean, are we breaking up? Are we, what is happening?" And she stood there for about 10 minutes just watching me sob with tears in her eyes, not knowing what to do. And then she went back to bed. And I cried literally from probably midnight to 6 o'clock in the morning. And I went and I got into bed and I cried myself to sleep. So she got up for work right after that. I ended up sleeping for about 2 hours. I got up at 8:30 and I walked out. I looked at her because she's working from home. You know, her job, they would take their phones away when they got there. So, you know, no distractions. At home, working from home, she was on her phone all damn day. So I walk out there and I look at her and she looks up at me and I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is going on? And she says, "I'm sorry. I'm just overwhelmed about the surgery. I'm 34. I'm so young. I'm, you know, even granted, she doesn't want to have any more kids, but, you know, it's like, she's like, I'm losing my lady parts. I'm not going to be a woman anymore. All of this stuff." And I told her, I was like, "Do you know you going through this and beating this will make you more of a woman in my eyes than any woman that there is out there?"
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, your uterus doesn't define you as a person.
Correct.
It's not even a personality trait. Let's
Correct.
She's about to lose their shit.
It's literally
I mean-
just a body part.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Let's see.
I get where they're coming from, but you know, if that were the case, I would be a woman.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why she just was like, I can't take it, da 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 da. But she apologized to me.
I mean,
And she,
I can
I
see
can't-
I can see the difference between choosing not to have kids and having the choice made for you.
right.
That's tough.
Right.
Yeah. So she apologized to me. She said that this was the reason that she's so out of sorts. And she said, "Look, I'm sorry I put you through that. Granted, we're at Monday morning here now." She's like, I'm sorry. I want to work on it. We'll make it better and fix it." And I'm like, okay. So at that point, I'm able to go back and get some sleep before I go to work. I get up for work. She's in the same mode, wants to fix it, wants to work on it, sits on my lap. It's just one thing that she did to me that, I don't know. Just, I mean, and like I said, she was a big girl. She hated herself. I loved her perfectly the way she was. But, you know, she would straddle me and she would just wrap her arms around me and hug me and kiss me. And that was our thing. I've never really had another girl do that to me. And that was our thing. And I mean, that's the way she sent me off to work. You know, telling me that she's sorry, she loved me, she wants to work on it, we're going to fix it, all that stuff. So I go to work. Good. I come home from work Monday night and I'm greeted again with, "Hey." And I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she feeds me, "I just don't know what I want." For the second. And at that point, I was like, fuck, this is really happening. Like, this is really happening. Something, like, I could lose the person that is actually my soulmate, that I feel is my soulmate, my forever. I'm not sure what the hell the reasoning is. I still think it's another guy she's talking to, but the reality was setting in and it was killing me. And so she tells me the next day, you know, she's like, "Hey, our friends are coming over for dinner." And I'm like, I don't want anybody over here. I'm a wreck. Like, I don't want anybody here. I'm in and out of crying. I'm miserable. I don't know where the hell my relationship's going, you know? And so I was like, cancel it, please cancel it. I can't deal with it. And she wouldn't cancel it. One friend decided not to come, so we're sitting there with, our other friend eating dinner. And I can assure you that anybody who says the way to a woman's heart is through laughter, because I've always made her laugh. Always. Like, if you're a never loser, it's a crock of shit, because I made her laugh up until the very end. We were watching some just dumbass movie that night, and I had them both dying laughing, even though I was in tremendous pain. I covered it well. I got through the dinner. Our friend left, and we went into the bedroom, and I just decided I was going to come out with everything. And I said, here's what I think's going on. I said, you told me you would always be honest with me. You'd never lie, you'd never cheat, you'd never do anything. And I said, all of a sudden you're starting to check every night what time I'm coming home from work, needing to know when I'm going to be here. You've never done that before. You've only done it the last week or 10 days or so. And I said, I think you're talking to somebody else. And oh my God, there's no way. I would never do that to you. I told you that from the very beginning. I would never, ever do that to you. We've both been through that shit. Like, it'll never happen. No, I'm not talking to anybody else. And I said, well, okay then. I said, I'd love to take you at your word, but instead I'm going to take you at what you created, the deal that you made. I said,
Show me your phone.
You've seen my phone 3 times over the course of this couple of years together, and I've never opted to look at yours. And tonight's the night I'm going to opt. I said, I'd like to see your phone, please. She said no, and I knew right then I was fucked. And I said, "Come on, this is your deal. You made this. This is your thing. You can't just back out on it now. I've shown mine to you every time. Like, let me see your phone." She said no. And I'm like, so you're lying to me. It's obvious that you're lying to me. And she said, I'm not lying to you. There's just some stuff on there. I've been talking to people about our relationship, and I think there's some stuff on there that might hurt you, and I don't want you to see it. And I said, I don't care. I just need to know that I'm not going crazy. So I don't care if someone's talking shit about me. I don't care. Let me see your phone. So she hands me her phone. I put in the code. It's not the code. The code has changed. So I ask her for her code. She says no. I keep trying to say, this is your deal. You made this. So obviously you're guilty of something. Again, denial. So we're sitting there, catty corner on a king-size bed. I'm in one corner, she's in the other corner, her phone's in between us. And I'm like, you owe me the truth. If you are leaving my life and breaking my heart, you owe me the truth. So tell me, are you talking to somebody else? Are you seeing somebody else? I'm not talking to anybody. I am not seeing anybody. I would never cheat on you. Never. No way. All this stuff. And I looked at her face and I knew she was lying. Like, I could read her like a book. When you love somebody that much, you put every ounce of you into learning everything about them because you care about them that much. You want to know when they feel bad. You want to know when they're hurting. You want to know when they're happy. You just put the effort in. And I knew she was lying to me. And I called her by name. And I said, tell me the fucking truth. And at that point she said no one last time, because she denied it 3 or 4 times. And I said, I deserve to know the truth. I do not need to feel like I'm going crazy, and you are making me feel like I'm going crazy. And I said, just tell me the truth. Are you talking to somebody else? And she said, yes. And I said, I knew it. And she said, but it's not what you think. It's not what you think. She said, "You're making way too big a deal about this." I said, "I just fucking found out about this." So I said, "I have my suspicions, but I just found out about this." And she goes, "It's just a friend of a friend from a chat room who asked his friend if he could talk to me. And his friend said, sure, go ahead. And I can just talk to him. It's all purely friendly." And she's like, "It's just a friendly thing. I can talk to him about some things that I can't talk to you about." And my response was, after all we've been through, what the fuck could you not possibly talk to me about? I have gone through every medical procedure with you. I have gone through all the times your mom has treated you like shit with you. I have been there for you from the day we met and given you every ounce of my life and my heart. What could you possibly not talk to me about? I am your biggest fan, biggest supporter. What could you not talk to me about? And right then, her phone lights up. It has this dude's picture come up on it, and it says, "Diego." I don't know this person. So guess who won the battle to getting to the phone first? This guy. So I answered her phone. I say hello. She starts wigging out, losing her shit. Give me my fucking phone. Da 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 da. I'm walking around the apartment just trying to make contact with this guy. I say hello. He doesn't answer. I say hello. He doesn't answer. So I call him by name. I said, "Hey, Diego." And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Hey, this is Edward. This is Marie's fiance. Apparently you guys talk when I'm at work at night." And he goes, "What?" And I said, "Yeah. You talk to Marie at night when I'm at work. This is her fiance." And he goes, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he hangs up. So at this point, she is losing her absolute mind. She is screaming at me, which she's never done. She is literally hitting me, trying to get the phone away from me, which she has never done. I've never, like I said, kindest, most gentle person in the world. Never seen her mad. Never seen her harm anybody, a fly, talk mean about anything. Over 2 years. And she is fighting me for this phone. Well, I still have the phone when the text message from Diego comes in. And the message says, "How the fuck is another man answering your phone and at that claiming to be your fiance?" So I just looked at her and I said, "Does this look like a message from somebody who's just a friend?" And so she is able to knock the phone from my hands, and it goes down between the couch. So at that point, it's unlocked, and I'm like, I want to grab the phone, run outside, and just look at everything. But it relocks, and it's not worth fighting her for it. And I give her the phone, I put on my shoes, and I leave. And I mean, heartbroken to say the least, but
I don't think that begins to describe it, really.
no.
It's
Betrayal. I mean, all of that. So, my roommate now lived very close, and I went over to knock on her door, and I said, "Do you have a minute?" And I'm sobbing. And she's like, "Yeah." And so I tell her what's going on, and then I end up going to my job, which is literally right around the corner, and I spend the rest of the night there in our break room. And I go home the next morning. She lets me in. And, she did tell me before something I left out of the whole phone and unlocking the phone thing. She told me, "I'll unlock my phone for you, but if I unlock my phone for you, that's the end of our relationship."
Ultimatums.
Right. And so I said, as much as I don't want to agree to that, I need to know that I'm not losing my fucking mind, so I agree to those terms.
Yep.
And she still wasn't pocket.
I always deliberately wreck ultimatums. Whatever it
Yeah.
is that you're trying to do, just on principle. Even if it's against what I normally would do. Just the principle alone. You pulled an ultimatum? Okay. Well, we're done anyway, so let's do it.
Yeah. Well,
But
Me?
we do have quite
I
a few
learned that-
comments here.
okay.
Okay.
So, back it up a little bit. When she admitted... Oh, she said that she wouldn't unlock the phone. DeVerne said, I would have told her to get out right then. And then, as you were talking about how you answered the phone with Diego and started talking to him, Four, who joined in, said that's how it started with his ex, and I was there for that whole thing. Like,
Oh.
and I admitted I hacked my ex's email account and read everything. And then the emotional distress after that caused me to puke immediately. And then DeVerne said, this story proves that you must trust no one, where I turned around and said, trust but verify. Kat actually dropped a holy and the shit emoji. And then Four was like, I just wish I had the balls to do to Kay what he did with her. I was just too naive at the time. And I had to let Four know, you did the best you could, and anything else would have been a violation of your own character or moral code. And he says, I know, I'm just too nice. And honestly, bro, that's why we're so close. You remind me a lot of the innocent, golden-hearted me that I was before I got destroyed.
Yeah.
And then DeVerne, verification sometimes works, but trash can often be sneaky. And yeah, that's true. That's a risk that you are always going to have to take.
Right.
Unfortunately, the sneakiest of all are narcissistic people. They are very good at playing you.
They're the perfect
very good at
charmers.
lying.
Right, but this is how it now coming from her narcissistic mother. I knew she had it in her, but that's a hell of a ruse to be able to keep up for over 2 years if you are truly a narcissist. And I still, at this point, that was the first point I saw anything out of the ordinary with her. Anything. So, moving along, initially, now it's kind of funny that you mentioned the hacked email thing, because
I put a keylogger on our computer.
Oh, gotcha. What happened, a lot of times she would find out things that her mother would say about her by going into her sent emails. Her mom sent emails when she was visiting, where, she would go over there 5 days a week to visit her mom, and her mom would be sending out emails talking about how her daughter hates her, never comes and sees her, is so rude and mean to her, all this shit. And so, after we're officially split now, she decides that she wants to write out the lease together. Now, the lease has another 8 months on it. And so I said, okay, I am totally willing. However, I don't need you dating anybody while we're living under the same roof. I won't do it. Just, we'll live here, we'll do our jobs, we'll get through the lease, and we'll go from there. And her response is, I'm not going to not date anybody for 7 fucking months or 8 fucking months. And I'm like, Jesus, like, who is this person? Who is this person that I literally gave my entire life to for the last 2 years, who's still wearing my ring, the day before?
It's like you're not even a corpse yet. You're still bleeding on the ground.
Right, exactly. So, anyway, I come home early from work the next, a day or two later, and I'm able to get in the door with no one hearing me. And she is on the phone in the bedroom on speaker with her mother. Okay? I listened to a half-hour phone call just sitting on my couch in the living room about how she wishes I would do the right thing and just get the fuck out. About how, she's decided that as of May 1st, she's going to say that we're breaking the lease just so I'll get the fuck out. All this shit. And I am like, what happened?
Talk about
Like,
duplicitousness right there. Holy shit.
Yeah, like, okay, we
It-
we,
yeah.
we made love like 9 days ago. Like, what the fuck happened? So, she leaves.
She's about to explode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she leaves for 5 days. She goes to stay in a hotel. Her and her son. Says, you know what? We need a break. Let's not, come to the conclusion that we're done yet. We're done. I think we're done, but let's take some time apart. Now, I don't know if all guys are fixers or whatever, but I am a fixer. I am not the kind of guy, where she says we need time apart, leave me alone. I am not the guy who's going to leave you alone. I'm the guy who's going to be like, look, we've hit a rough patch. I love you. We can work through this. Come home. And we kept in communication. My two best friends ended up becoming her two best friends. Rebecca, we've talked about the flying monkey things. It's very weird when your two best friends suddenly kind of switch to the other side and they're more against you, it seems. And I'm like, what have I done here? I can't get any answers. I can't get any answers about anything,
Literally, none of them would talk to him with any kind of clarity, any kind of explanation for the way that any of them were behaving. It's ridiculous. These are supposed to be adults, and they can't answer a simple question like, can you tell me where it went wrong? Can you, I need you to be my friend, and I need you to be strong for me, and I need to lean on you. And they're like, oh, sorry, I don't have time.
Right. They're at the hotel posting pictures of them holding up cups and drinking and shit with her while I'm at home miserable sleeping with her nightgown because it smells like her.
That's like me and my ex.
Calling me in the middle of the night because he can't sleep and he's upset,
Right.
and he just needs somebody to talk to.
Right.
I'm glad that you're there.
Yes, very. She came back home and we slept in the same bed still for a few nights. The night that she came back home, I really thought I came home from work and she had text messaged me before I got off and said, I'm home. Please don't wake me up when you get here. But she was awake and we had a very long, deep-hearted conversation. And she tried to explain to me that the reason she talked to that guy, not the reason she talked to him, but, just saying that he just felt safe because he was a trucker and on the road. She knew she'd never meet him, and I've learned a lot more about this stuff in therapy, so we'll get to that point. But but I mean, we had such a great conversation, and I really thought, okay, we're going to work this out. It seemed like it was going that way, and she would tell me all these things, and then completely go back against what she had just said. Like, she'd tell me things like, "Look, I'm sorry. You were the person that made me believe in what love was. I never knew what love was till I met you. You treated me better than anyone ever has," and all this stuff. And I'm like, so let's work on this, and
It's like, so
it would
you
be
prefer being treated like garbage? I don't get
Well,
it.
and see, that's just it. Her history was, I mean, she was abused physically. She was, her son's father was horrible. I mean, he was a heavy drug user. He burned her with cigarettes. He shot her up while she was asleep. He burned her with meth pipes. I mean, she had all these scars on her, things that she was ashamed of, but that I would kiss or touch or rub because it was part of her and I loved her. It was just something else that was beautiful to me because it was a part of her. And yeah, so I mean, she still like that conversation that night, I was like, okay, I kept feeling like I had hope. It was coming back together. We were gonna, and she still said no. She still said no. Now the next week or two after the breakup, we still did all of our normal things. Watched the same TV shows that we used to watch together. We'd go out to dinner together. We would sit on the couch and hold hands. It was like, okay, let's, maybe we just need to work back into this, and then it was like completely done. And when it was completely done, I had noticed, I learned her trick about the email, looking at the email. She left one day and I just popped up her laptop and I looked at her email and seen that she had registered for this dating site. And I'm like, I'm still living in the house. We haven't even been split up 3 weeks yet. And you're on a dating site, so you can't be alone, obviously. Or my therapist said either that or she's using that to cover the pain. Because when we argued, we'd still both be sobbing. Like, I know that she still loved me. That's the thing. I think her mom probably had a lot to do with what happened. I don't know if she threatened to pull money away from her son's school. I don't know. But I think just a hunch that her mom had a lot to do with what happened. But yeah, she started sleeping in her son's room. She turned into a narcissist. Didn't want me to talk to her. Didn't want me to speak to her son. Didn't want me anything. Now, when I found that dating site, that was the night that I was done. That was the night I gave up. I was packing all my shit, and I got into the closet portion where all my belts were, and I was done. I knew where she kept her gun, and had she had any ammunition, I would not be here right now.
Well, thank God she had no ammunition. This world needs more men like you.
I put the gun back and I went into the closet, and that's where all my belts were. And I had a brand new belt that had not fit. I was too fat for with the pandemic. I gained 30, 40 pounds. I shit you not, after the breakup, I lost 50 pounds in 5 weeks.
Hey,
I couldn't eat.
That's up there with the Corona diet.
Yeah, exactly. But I couldn't keep anything down. But that night, I took that brand new belt that didn't fit. I wrapped it around my neck. I hooked it around the bars in the closet, and I went for it. And as I was blacking out,
It's okay.
It's okay.
I just kept hearing something in my head saying, "Stand up."
I'm so glad.
I heard it 3 or 4 times. Something just told me to stand up. Because at that point, I didn't care. And I stood up. Like, once I actually kind of got my wits back about me, I called one of my best friends, crying, sobbing. And he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No." And so he called my ex instantly. And of course, she wasn't worried about me. She was worried about her son, because her son was there. She wasn't. So at that point, my friends came over that are now her friends and basically told me, just not to talk to her the remainder of the time I was there. Don't talk to her son. all this stuff, and we want you guys back together, but obviously she doesn't want to be right now. Maybe in the future it could happen, this and that. And they spent about 2 hours with me. Meanwhile, she's on her computer.
Just looking at the screens here, I think C and I are planning a trip with your ex to some lava tubes.
Shotgun. I just want to talk to her. I'm
so sorry you went through all this. My wrist has a scar, and it was literal voice that got me to stop, which was my daughter on the. It was my ex-wife on the phone, and in the background, my daughter saying, "Yeah, we're going to go see Daddy," and that's what stopped me from cutting any deeper.
Worst part of that is after my friends left me in the bedroom, they decided to talk to her. She wrote me. She works for an attorney's office, and she wrote me this fictitious cease and desist order. Not real, because it's not legal. Just her herself, of how she, I'm not allowed to speak to her. I'm not allowed to speak to her son. Need to be moved out by May 1st, or breaking the lease. I mean, just all this shit. Like,
quit stalking. I remember reading.
Oh yeah, if I spoke to her, whether it was fighting for the relationship or not, if I told her I loved her, I was harassing her. She was going to call the police. I mean, she turned into her mother. The things that, like, I told you, I've never seen that girl the least bit angry in my entire life. Never had a mean bone in her body. The narcissistic side was in there, but I think it was all her mom. I don't think it's her, because I don't think you can keep up. Like I said, I don't think you can keep up a ruse like that for over 2 years. You just can't. Like, I knew she loved me. I knew she was in love with me. I can go back and read all the messages, watch the videos, listen to the voicemails, whatever, which is probably not healthy because it still breaks me. But after my friends left the room, they went out with her on the back porch, which is right outside the bedroom. So I can hear every word they're saying. Now, mind you, we're still at the 3-week point. It's been 3 weeks since, so I'm still broken. So I'm hearing my friends stick up for me somewhat, saying, I don't agree you should be dating anybody. It's way too soon for shit like that. It's you say you checked out in October, which we all know is bullshit. But he's only been going through this for 3 weeks and he's broken. And you have to let him handle this the way he handles it. And then she proceeds to tell him all about the date she's going on that Friday. And even though they're chastising her, and my one friend is like saying, you owe him an explanation. It may not be tomorrow, it may not be, 6 months from now, but you owe him a phone call and an explanation. You need to tell him what happened, because he obviously doesn't know. Now, I'm oblivious usually to a girl having a crush on me, but I am not oblivious if I am in a complete loving relationship. Like I said, I pay attention to everything. So there wasn't a day that went by that she didn't know how beautiful she was, how much she was loved, that there wasn't affection. She was my absolute forever, and I still believe that she was my soulmate. I never believed in soulmates until I met her. So listening to all that and listening to how she's going out with these people, and I couldn't stay. I wanted to be out before May 1st because I couldn't, that next weekend I knew she went out with somebody. She spent the weekend with somebody. An entire Friday and Saturday night with some guy. Now, in my head, if you're spending a weekend with somebody, you're probably fucking. I'm just saying. It's probably happening. Hotel, 2 nights. Yeah. So.
I can't disagree with that.
Yeah.
But I can't say the chat room has exploded. and our co-hosts are failing.
I know.
Becky can tell you that it gets better. Wait till my next reveal. Do you want to go with the chat room first? And then we'll
Yeah, let's get the chat room so that way. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Let's start with Kat. Oh my god.
Let's see. Well, where am I? Let's see here. I'm trying to find out where we left off the last time.
Yeah, there's Devern left.
I'm switching room. I'm sorry, my roommate needs to go to sleep, so
That's fine. But there's been a little bit of back and forth between everybody, so it's just, sidebar. But then Kat popped up with, oh my god, she had a gold mine and tossed it all away like trash.
Yes. And
It's okay.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to find that. I'm scrolling, but I'm
okay.
losing stuff.
I can do it. It's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
You've been
so
bawling
sorry.
your eyes out. I get it.
I have been.
Anyway, Devern had to leave, but said that you sound a lot like him. 4 was also commiserating by being basically in this. You, me, and 4 should, if we ever talk together, we have very similar stories so far. And then when you attempted suicide, we got the shocked face with the hands on the side, followed by no, virtual hugs from 4, Kat crying, 4 saying, and she's the one that fucked up. Now she's playing victim. Sounds like someone we know. Sounds like a pair we know. Yeah. So, the whole room erupted when you were talking about blacking out.
Yeah. Whatever that voice was, whatever that voice that said, "Stand up." I don't know if it was divine. I'm not very close with the Lord myself. I'm not sure what it was.
Maybe it was the voice of your child, subconsciously.
I don't know, but it just took that 4th one, and the 4th one, I just did it, But
I'm glad you did.
So I find out the day after she spends that first weekend with whoever she's dating, the first guy. Yeah, notice I say first.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I noticed.
Yeah, because one of the things that I promised her I'd do after we moved in together was to go back to the doctor, get on my meds, get my meds regulated, because I've always been, it's been years since I've been on my depression meds and my sleep meds, and I battled insomnia, something fierce. I mean, if I sleep 2 hours in a night, it was a great night. So I had made her that promise that after we moved, I would do that. Well, when the hysterectomy reared its ugly head, that's where all my concern was. I didn't give a shit about me. It was, let's get you fixed and we'll worry about me next. It's a couple pills I can take. I'll be okay. Let's get you fixed. That's more important. But after we split, I was like, well, fuck it. I'll go. So went to the doctor. Amazing group. I don't know if I should if I can plug them. They are the greatest. My friend recommended them and said, go to this doctor. You'll love it because you won't feel like a number. A lot of doctors we go to, you're there, you're in and out in no time. They hear what's wrong. Okay, boom, it's done. Like literally, my doctor, you go to, the nurse will be with you, will sit there with you, or and listen to anything you have to say for as long as you have to say, and the doctor will do the same thing. Like, you don't feel like a number there. You feel like a person. You feel important. You feel. I mean, I absolutely love my doctor, and so the day that I went in there and told them the whole story up until that point, they wanted me immediately to seek counseling, of course. Get to a therapist. They didn't know if inpatient would have been a good thing, and I probably needed it. But I also couldn't lose my job. And I know they have things where, you won't lose your job, but I don't even remember what it's called right now. My brain's going in a million different directions, but I needed to work. I needed the money. I couldn't go stay. I just couldn't do it. So anyway, after hearing my story, the nurse says, "Hey, we'll set you up with counseling. We'll set you up with all this, da 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 da. But you said you caught her talking to another guy, and she's already starting to date, da 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 da. Would you like an STD test?" And I said, "No, she's not the cheating kind. No, there's nothing. I'm clean. And that was the one thing when she and I started dating. She said, 'When was your last STD test?' And I said, 'It's been a while, but I haven't really been around, And she's like, "Okay, because I just got mine and I'm clean." And she's like, "Every year, my physical, I get an STD test." So, that first year we made love like bunnies. So, once she had her next STD test after us being together for a year, she was clean. I'm thinking, okay, no big deal. So anyway, I told them no, I didn't want to get it. So she left the room. I'm sitting there and I'm like, fuck it, I'm here. Why don't I get it? Why don't I do it just to see? Like, I don't think she would ever cheat on me. I think she's just bored with me. Her mom's doing this. I'm not good enough. I'm not successful. Mom's put pressure on her. Whatever. So I get the STD test. She spends the weekend with that guy. Guess what phone call I get on Monday from my doctor? My STD test results.
I'm guessing they came up positive.
They came up with yes, you have been in touch with genital herpes.
Ah! And that shit's forever.
And I about lost it. And so I came out of the bedroom and I looked at her and I said, "Hey, by the way, I know we're not supposed to be talking. Just wanted you to know my STD test that I had came up positive for being in contact with genital herpes. Now, I haven't had a breakout. I've got nothing. But, anyway, just wanted you to know that." At which she replies, "There you fucking go, accusing me of cheating. Always me, my fault, da 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 da." She's like, "Well, I just had mine, and I'm completely clean." Okay.
Okay.
So I have to look at her now, knowing that she had been out Friday night and Saturday night with another guy. I have to live with this girl, that I was engaged to less than 4 weeks ago, head over heels for, gave my everything to, was ready to kill myself for, and I have to see her all day, every day. Now, she thinks I'm leaving May 1st, but I know that she has doctor's appointments, 3 of them, on that Thursday. And I called my roommate and I said, "Look, do you think I can get out? Can we get back? Can we live together? All this stuff." We had already talked about living together. And she's like, "Yeah, I'll have the truck there that day." And so that's what I did. I moved out that day, on that Thursday while she was at her doctor's appointment. So I get a call from one of our mutual friends, one of the 2 guys, who says she came home and she was super surprised that I was gone and that she was rethinking things and that she missed me and that she was thinking of having me come home. So for me, even with all that I'm finding out, again, that's my soulmate. That's the girl I want to spend the rest of my life with. I'm ignoring all the shit that she's done to me to try and fix it. So I'm like just waiting for that phone call. Please, even though I just moved into this other place, I haven't even unpacked yet. Please let that phone call come. Let me go home. Let's fix it and make it all better. Instead, that same friend calls me the very next day and goes, early in the morning too, like early in the morning, like still asleep. And he's like, dude, what the fuck? Why didn't you tell me about the herpes? And I go, what do you mean? I said, that's not nothing I proudly wear. I'm not happy about it. You know? And he goes, well, evidently she got tested and she came back positive. And I said, well, where the fuck do you think I got it from? Like, I didn't cheat on her. I would have never done that. This girl was my soulmate. She was my everything. I would never have cheated on her. And so, of course, that instantly changed her mind about me coming home, getting back together, anything. And I don't know if...
You exposed a lie. Of course, if
right.
It can't be under her terms, then fuck it.
Right. And I think, you know, Rebecca and I have talked about this, like, you know, the guilt. I think it's all guilt and busted.
Oh, there's a lot of guilt there.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of guilt.
And she's not going to admit she's guilty, therefore she's going to transfer it all over to you.
Right.
And make everything your fault, because that's classic narcissistic behavior.
Right.
They will gaslight the fuck out of you.
Right. So
I've had it done to me my entire life. I mean...
And so, you know, I had some common friends who were shocked to find out that we had even split up and that all this stuff. But I wrote her a letter the day before I moved out. And I mean, Rebecca has seen it. I don't think there's been a person, male or female, who has read that letter who has not bawled their eyes out, because I just...
Like, I sobbed while he was reading this.
Where were you on our last episode of last season? All we did was share writings and bawl our eyes out.
Yeah.
Basically.
Because I actually let my heart write the letter. I didn't write the letter. My heart wrote the letter. And I mean, even one of my coworkers who is a male, who is like a man's man,
the alpha male.
Yeah, total alpha male. But he had tears in his eyes, and he said, "That's the most beautiful thing I've ever read." And he's like, "I don't know," you know. And of course, our close mutual friends were like, "You can't give that to her now because of how bad she hates you. You have to wait 6 months, 9 months before you ever give it to her." And I don't know if I'm ever going to give it to her.
I should be so lucky to have somebody write so eloquently about me. Damn.
Yeah.
It's truly beautiful.
Narcissists are great at wrapping people around their fingers. I should know. I've been wrapped.
I still, like I said, I think that whole narcissistic side of her, though, I think came as a defense mechanism from the guilt. Because, like I said, she didn't show anything. And I mean, if you're a narcissist, you can't hide that shit for 2 fucking years. There's no way. Like, you would see something. That would be something where you would have to, just have to be the alpha of the situation over. That's pretty much what our narcissists are. It's their world. It's their rules. It's their way. She was never like that. She was always considerate. She took my feelings into consideration. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It was the guilt.
That's exactly how I feel about with my ex too. Is that because I mean we were together for a total of 10 years. You don't hide that shit for that long.
No fucking way.
But
there's no way.
When it comes out, holy shit!
Right. So I started therapy immediately once I got out.
And Kat just said she doesn't deserve to know how much you love her and how badly she hurt you. I'm actually going to have to agree with Kat on this one.
Yeah. She knows how badly she hurts me. She hurt me because she knows nobody has ever loved her like I have. And she told me that on numerous occasions. She's like, no one has ever loved me the way you love me. But so when I started therapy, and actually I actually went to 4 sessions, and I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I am stopping it because I don't think I have the right therapist.
That doesn't sound crazy.
That's
sorry.
We literally said almost the same exact thing, same exact time.
Well, Rebecca, you'll remember my first therapy session. I go in there, and
Yes.
the lady's a sweet lady. Don't get me wrong. She's, younger than I am and super nice. And I get trying to make somebody feel comfortable. Like the first thing she says is, let's set some goals, which that's what I expected. And I said, look, I want to be a better me. I want to be a happier me. I want to be a more successful me. I want to just be a better Edward. And she said, okay, I get that. And then she asked me, do you still love Marie? Yeah, more than anything in the world. Unfortunately, but yes. And she said, do you want to put her as your goal? I'm like, what do you mean? She said, do you want her back? And I'm like, I don't think that sounds like a possibility. I don't think that's up to me. And she said, no, but if it's something you would like, if you want that to be as part of your goal, we can do that. And I'm like, okay, then sure. And so then she proceeds to take the next half hour. She kept me almost 2 hours on that first day. The next half hour, she asked me to talk just about Marie. Just about her. Nobody else, just about her. Tell me everything you know about her past relationships. Tell me everything you know about before you met, while you're together, after you broke, everything. So I do that. So then she proceeds to tell me, okay, I'm going to tell you something, and it's going to be hard for you to hear because you're a male. And I said, okay.
Oh.
She said,
Yeah, I don't like that either.
right. She said,
I caught that look.
yeah. She said, it's not your fault. And I said, okay. And she goes, I know as a male, males want to shoulder the burden and take responsibility and try to make things better. And, you did nothing wrong. It's not your fault. And go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought, and then I'll.
Okay. And I wanted to be like, part of me wanted to be like, well, no shit. Because even now, when I look back at the relationship from beginning to end, I don't think I would have done anything different. I don't think I would have changed anything. Had I known something was wrong, I would have worked on it. But, and then, go ahead. Yeah, get that in before I go to the next part.
I was going to say that would require more communication on her part, and honest communication on her part, which from the understanding that I have was basically non-existent.
No. Correct. Nothing.
Had she been able to look at you and say, Edward, I'm feeling this way in this moment, and I don't like the way I'm feeling, and I don't like the way that our relationship is heading, and I want to fix it. Instead of just,
everything's fine. You're crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Anything. Still, that's the part that bothers me the most right now is I don't have a single fucking answer. None.
That is one thing that I think that your therapist told you that I really do think is the truth, is that
it's not your fault.
You are more emotionally mature than Marie is.
Right.
And I'm just going to say, your therapist was absolutely right when they said it is not your fault. And all I saw was that scene. It's not your fault. I know. It's not your fault. Okay. It's not your fault. What are you doing?
Right.
It's not your fault. Stop it.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
Yeah.
You're going to make me cry. That's kind of what I saw happening there. But it's like,
yes. And
there's a lot of truth behind that.
Yeah, but it's funny because I honestly felt like telling her, like, well, no shit.
But deep down, there's a part of you that you still hold the blame.
There's a part of you that wonders what you did wrong.
It has been 14 years, and I still hold some blame, even though it wasn't my fault.
Right.
I mean, I have to.
Here's the next
I
thing,
have
though.
to say this though.
Okay.
I mean, it's that it's that unearned guilt thing that crops up for everybody. There's not. I don't believe that there's really a truly feeling person in this world who does not hold on to some kind of unearned guilt for some reason, and it's so hard to let go of. And
Right.
I struggle with it myself. I mean,
Right.
he knows that better than anyone. I have cried many a time on the phone to him because I felt so guilty about something, only to have him look me over FaceTime dead in my face and say, "You have no blame in that."
Right.
Although sometimes I'll say it a little more like, "You're not stupid, so why are you acting stupid?" But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, depending on my mood, I either got my ass kicked or my back patted and told, it's
Right.
okay.
Or I'll
Right.
pat your back and then give you that swift kick.
Or you'll
No.
hire somebody to give me the swift kick because capitalism.
That's what I told him. My first time I was like, I will hire someone to go there and kick her ass. Because it's too
Yeah.
expensive for me, but it'll be cheaper to get someone to do it for me.
So here's the next thing my therapist said after that, though. She goes, and now I'm going to tell you something that's even harder for you to hear.
Oh no.
And I said, okay. And she said, it's not her fault either. And I gave her the biggest
Oh.
I gave her the biggest
Excuse me?
like I was like, what the fuck?
I would give such a stink eye there that'd be like, if looks could kill.
I did. I mean, that I did. I was totally Scoobied out. I was just like, like, what the fuck? And she goes, think about this. She goes, what did she tell you when she first, and I haven't shared this already, but when she first found out about having to have the surgery, the hysterectomy and everything, she looked at me and she told me, I can't put you through this. If something happens to me, I'll never forgive myself. And I'm like, well, no, you can't because you'd be dead. But, haha, funny. But anyway, I'm like, it doesn't matter. We're a team. We go through everything together. And so anyway, she said, what did she tell you when she first found out she had to have the hysterectomy? And I said that she couldn't do it to me. She said that was the first step at her pushing you away. And I said,
You know
okay.
what? That's probably true.
And then she said,
Unfortunately, yes.
yeah. And then she said, the next thing she tells you is she's not going to be a woman anymore. So what is she doing? Seeking all this attention from men outside of you. And, they're hitting on her. They're giving her all the attention and she's eating it up because she felt she was going to be less of a woman. She said next, she's sabotaging your relationship because all she is used to is being in toxic relationship to toxic relationship. And she gets you, and she said, you told me you guys have never had a fight before this. I said, not one. In over 2 years, not one fight. She said, so she's sabotaging the relationship. She said, how did she put it? She said, you're the person who has been there with her by her side for everything these last 2 years. The only person that has stood by her. Her mother doesn't stand by her. Her mother hurts her. You're there. She goes through a problem at work. She's hurt. You're there. She cries for any reason. You're there. She has a happy moment. You're there. She said, right now, you're the only person who's been there. So guess who's going to wear all the blame for everything she's going through? The only person who's been there. You. She said that. Yeah. She's like, so she's going to take everything out on you. She said, you don't even live there anymore. And she said, if she gets rear-ended at a red light tomorrow, guess whose fault it is?
It would be your fault.
Yours. And I'm like, how is that fair? So, but then...
I really like your therapist, and I hate your therapist at the same time, because they're good. They're really good.
Yeah.
Same.
Correct. But then this is where it goes wrong for me, okay? This is where it goes really wrong for me. She says, look, there's going to be a point where she realizes that you didn't do anything wrong. Okay, I can deal with that. I hope she does, because honestly, she lost the one thing, the one guy who would have died for her in a heartbeat just to protect her, who would have done anything for her. You know, okay, I can live with that. And she said, and she's gonna, there's a good chance she'll come back to you. Now, don't give me false hope after all the shit that I've just been through. And she's like, I could see you sitting in that seat a year from now, and her sitting right over there next to you, and us doing couples therapy and this and that. She goes, I think there's a good chance that she's going to come back to you. So I'm leaving that first therapy appointment flying high. Like, cool. You know, my therapist thinks she's going to come back to me. This is great. You know, all this and all that. And then after like a few hours, I was like, why, as a therapist, as a professional, would you even put that into somebody's head who is miserable, who tried to kill themselves, who's obviously been treated like shit by this person? Why would you give them that hope?
It might have been more of a warning.
I don't know. It felt like hope to me because she knows that was my goal. That's what I wanted. So the first thing I did at appointment number 2 was like, okay, I want to talk about appointment number 1 and how that ended. And she, you know, I said, I kind of left here feeling like I had all this hope, and I'm like, it doesn't feel right and all this. And she goes, yeah, she goes, I understand. She's like, well, I said, having no answers is killing me. And I'm like, you know, she goes, you may never get those answers. And I'm like, I know that, but you know, this is completely different than what we were talking about last week. And, you know, so the last few appointments have just been me talking, you know, and it just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel, you know, I don't know. It just rubbed me the wrong way with all the false hope. Cause I don't know. I felt like, okay, I'm going to get my girl back. I'm going to get my girl back. And now I'm to the point where, I mean, I know there's different stages of grief, and there's no right and wrong way to grieve. I've learned all that. But like, just the fact that, you know, she's like, the anger, she goes, right now you're still broken and you haven't had the angry side. So, you know, when I told her about the herpes, and when I told her about spending the night with the guy, you know, and how upset she was after finding out I had it and then finding out that she had it and all this stuff. And I said, kind of feels like the karma train working its way. And she goes, see, there's that anger I was talking about. It's in there. And I said, wouldn't it be, I said, wouldn't it be kind of funny but sad if she gave herpes to that guy she was seeing? And she said, see, you're angry. It's in there. You know?
It comes out in small bursts from time to time.
Right.
I'm waiting for the big explosion. I'm not going to lie. He's already got a copy of it.
There it is, right here. Mm-hmm.
Changed my life.
Yep.
Yeah, I have to go through it again since of recent events.
Yeah, so I mean I'm about a third of the way through it. You know, well,
he's actually been working a lot on his own, but he knows I'm always there with any questions or anything that he wants to talk about. So
yeah, we talk every day, and
Yep.
unless I'm having a horrible, horrible, horrible day. Like I can honestly admit that, like I said, we're only at 14 weeks since this has all happened. Well, let's say coming up on 14. I think it's been 13, but I finally, for the last 5 nights, the last 5 24-hour periods are the first 5 24-hour periods I have not cried. I cried every day. Every day. I still have pictures of us together up because I can't not look at her. I started with 12. I'm down to 3. But it's just, And it's funny because, she's blocked me on every social media. I know there's a way around a few of them. And it's, the funny thing is the day before week 8, the official 8 week of us being split up, she, one of my friends called to tell me that it was okay for her to tell me, or for him to tell me, that she was officially in a new relationship with this guy. Not even the guy that she spent that weekend with, a new guy. The guy is 4 years younger than me. He looks like he's almost 20 years older than me. He is a millionaire, so I'm sure mom's happy. He owns many local restaurants. He owns a lot of restaurants in Florida, all over the South. The jealous side of me thinks that he looks like a pregnant Muppet. Everybody, I mean, yeah,
Boy.
sorry, because I don't want to pick on anybody's looks. I am not the most attractive guy in the world, but everybody who has seen a picture of this guy is like, boy, did she fucking downgrade. How old is this guy? Like, he's getting senior citizen benefits, right? And I'm like, nah, he's younger than me. And they're like, what? And I'm like, stress maybe? I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah. So, like I said, I lost 2 very good friends. So I thought, to her. And after last night, it seems that I've only lost one of those very good friends. Because one of those 2 friends reached out to me last night and was like, dude, I'm sorry, but Marie has completely changed. She is not the person you knew. She's not the person I knew. She is, like he said, last time we all went out to dinner, she's like, all she did was pick on me. She was mean. She was teasing me. He's like, we're not even friends anymore. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah.
Well, he no longer served her purpose, so.
And
I guess. But what's
my
funny,
ex, she's who she was, dead. Does not exist.
Yeah. But it was funny because even though they were more her friends, they would still hang out with me and we'd go out to lunch and talk and they'd let me vent and still not really giving me information. They have to know why the fuck we split up. They have to. I mean, they're there with her all the time for the most part. And especially the other one. The other one, he's this is how
That's
great
the flying monkey.
Yeah, more so than the other one, yes. But the one that is basically in her pocket right now, he's enjoying the hell out of her dating a millionaire. The guy has got endless money, and he told me to my face when we were out, just the 3 of us at lunch, me and those 2 guys. And he said, look, I want you guys back together. We want you guys back together. He's like, but I'm going to enjoy the perks while I got them, because they eat free all over the place. They fly free because he's a pilot too. It's just, and my friend that reached out to me last night, he was saying, yeah, he goes, no, they are absolutely living it up. And they said, I do not like her new boyfriend either. Like, there's something about him. And he's like, we need to talk. And, because this was all via text, he's like, we really need to talk. And I was like, I just want some answers. And he goes, unfortunately, I don't think I have the answers that you want. But he's like, yeah, we need to talk about what the hell they've turned into and all this. And I'm like, well, I have an idea, but it's just been a rough ride. And I have some good friends like Rebecca, and even people who are here via chat, saying that this girl's fucking crazy to give up on a guy like you. And
it's true.
And I, you have
stand by that opinion.
Yeah, we have our little Jewish jokes, but about the money and all that stuff. And her mom is all about the money, and she was never that way. she was never that way, but she sure seems like she is now.
Well, maybe maybe that therapist was right, and this is just all reactionary to the hysterectomy.
That's
Temporary psychosis, but damn.
Yeah, well, it's funny. She, I still don't think she's had the surgery, which was scheduled for early May. She tried to tell some of her friends that I found out through the grapevine that I was contributing to her wanting to use again and wanting to drink all the time. And her blood work, now she does have anemia really bad. She always got infusions, all this stuff. Her blood work was bad. That's why they wouldn't perform the surgery or reschedule it. But her stress level was so high, and it was because of me. Like, I was this problem. And Rebecca will be the first person to tell you I am the most calm, gentle. Like, I may have professional wrestled for a handful of years and been a great bad guy. I can act, but
heart of gold, literally.
Yeah.
One of the sweetest people I've ever met in my life.
The nicest people make the greatest heels when acting. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had more fans, I think, as a heel than a face. Honestly.
I gotta watch some of your old wrestling if you can point out some.
If we can find some VHS tapes.
I have yet to see this, and I want to see it.
I've got some tapes. If somebody has a VHS player, VCR, I've got some old tapes. But,
I do.
Yeah,
I do, but I don't trust my VCR to not eat the tapes.
Right.
Oh, mine is perfectly kept up and immaculate. It won't eat a tape. I have to see this.
Digitize. Digitize.
We can find some from when I I sucked my whole career. Let's be serious. I was green. I had minimal training, but at least it was Ken Shamrock. I mean, world's most dangerous man. At least I had a great trainer. But
I have a story about Ken Shamrock.
Do you?
Not me personally, but one of my uncles who passed away a while ago used to go to a local college. It was a community college that Ken Shamrock went to. And they actually had a class together. Well, Ken Shamrock, because of how big he is, he was a bouncer for a while before he got into, the limelight. And my uncle picked the fight at the bar, and Ken Shamrock grabbed him by the nutsack, grabbed him by the throat, and put him face first in the asphalt. So,
is this the uncle I think it is?
Oh, of course. And then the next day in class, he's like, "Why'd you have to throw me down like that?" And Ken Shamrock shrugged and said, "You won't do that again next time, will you?"
No kidding.
But he was like, other than that, it's like Ken was not a bad guy, but he did not suffer fools lightly.
Yeah, Ken was the complete opposite in person of what you saw on television. So when you saw him screaming and yelling and doing all this shit in the wrestling ring or in the octagon when he was, a UFC fighter, all wired up and everything, when I met him, I don't know why I expected to meet that guy, but I didn't. Like, he walked up to me, and I swear to you, in the softest voice I've ever heard in my life, stuck out his hand and was like, "Hi, I'm Ken." I was like, Jesus, you look like him, but who the hell are you? Like, you don't sound like it. I mean, it was so soft-spoken. And he was temporarily opening his Lion's Den again in San Diego to train when Total Nonstop Action was just starting out and they needed their first champion when he was going to be it. So he opened it up again, and that's when I got to go in and go train. And he made me feel so little because it was only going to be open for about a month. And he said, I wasn't looking on taking on anybody else to train because I told him what I was there for. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm really not looking to take anybody else on. These are just all my former students from when I had it before. I'm just trying to get back in shape. And, it's kind of a lot of hassle to train somebody." And I could just feel myself going from 6'4" to 5'2" to 4'11" to 3'6". I mean, it just and then all of a sudden he goes, "But I've never trained a big guy before." Now, back then I was 450 pounds. Now I'm 290. Wow. So he said, "I've never trained a big guy before." And he said, training a big guy is so much different than training a small guy.
So you intrigued him.
Yeah, and he goes, come back here tomorrow night at 7:00. And I said, what kind of money do I need to bring? He said, this training's on me. And I went, oh my God, I'm going to get professional wrestling training by a legend for free.
And Kat's asking, what's your wrestling name?
My wrestling name was Mr. Smalls. It was a bodyguard for character type thing. There are pictures of me on Google. There's a couple of them. Although I would look up Mr. Smalls Wrestler before I looked up just Mr. Smalls, because Mr. Smalls is a nightclub in Pittsburgh, and that's pretty much all you're going to find. But if you scroll down and you find a big, fat, white, bald...
Found you.
Yep, you will find photos.
Yeah, that's definitely you.
Quite possibly. But yeah, my very first match I ever had was the best match of my career. It was with a good friend of mine, and it's the only one of the only ones I don't have on tape that I wish I did. But it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
I can only imagine how much fun it is.
Oh, it is. And I mean, I got into it I had a bad back from a car accident before I ever started training. And I mean, there were nights where I'd wrestle a show and I couldn't even get out of bed the next day. I'd have to be helped up by my wife at the time and my roommate or whatever to get to the restroom. It killed me. Therefore, after I went to broadcasting school, back in 2008, I decided to get surgery. I did my internship with the Atlanta Hawks. I graduated at the top of my class. I was like so nervous because I'm like, okay, I'm in my 30s now. What kind of retention rate am I going to remember? Because I can't remember what happened yesterday. But ending up as valedictorian, I worked for the Hawks radio network for a year. And then they wanted to keep me on after my internship, but they didn't have a paid position. And living in Macon, which was an hour and 20 minutes away, I could not afford to work for free 5 days a week, at least, driving to and from Atlanta. So I ended up getting the PA announcing job for a local minor league baseball team, which was fun as hell because I introduced each player like they were coming to the ring for wrestling.
Nice.
I was so over the top with it. It was great. People would come
honestly,
yeah.
I live in an area that has a AAA baseball team. I prefer going to minor league games over going to major league games any day.
Yeah. Yeah, much better.
Yeah, the announcer, it's so much more personable. The announcers do a lot more. There's more events. Seriously, if you don't have a minor league team in your area, you're missing out. Like, seriously, and if you have one, you haven't gone, go. It is cheap, and it is amazing. Plus, you're seeing people that might be playing in the bigs, or maybe just got done with an injury, and they're trying to get back into baseball shape again.
Right. Likewise, Rebecca. I just got this weird message. Whoa. Anyway,
we do that sometimes.
So getting back to near the end of my story here, my friend decided that she was going to hook me up with a psychic. Just as she's like, you've been through hell. I want you to talk to one of my friends.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. My mom went to psychics when she was younger as entertainment and recorded stuff and got a kick out of it and stuff like that. And I was like...
I know someone that almost went bankrupt because of psychics.
Yeah.
Ow.
So,
Not good.
She's like, just talk to my friend. And, okay. Now, my social media, if you're not my friend, is completely private. You can't find anything out, and there's nothing that I'm going to put on there to reveal too much anyway. I'm a goofball. I'm a jokester. I'm not getting suspended nearly as much as you are, but
I've taken it on as a personal challenge now. So
right. But a lot of jokes, and honestly, especially Twitter. Twitter's been a place for me to vent.
Oh, I'm permanently banned from Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter is where I vent almost every day. I can put something out like as if I'm directly talking to Marie, or even though she can't see anything, it lets me get shit out.
I will say I could build an audience on Twitter like nobody's business, but
I bet.
This is true.
I bet. So
I have witnessed many strange things happen on Twitter because of that man.
I mean, I was being followed by Charles Payne the second or something like that. You know,
I don't know why you were going to say Manson. I don't know why.
No. No, but I've been followed by a number of celebrities. I'm just a nobody with a big mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you usually use that big mouth for the greater good.
The great good. Yeah, until I tell Chelsea Handler that she's nothing but a glorified cum dumpster.
Yeah, well, I said usually.
So
where's the lie in it, though?
Right,
even though true.
Right. I end up taking my friend's advice and I speak to the psychic, and I got to tell you, I know psychics can throw out loaded shit like, oh, do you know somebody whose name starts with R? It was nothing like that. It was like, so, okay, I am sensing a breakup. Yep. I am sensing deep heartbreak, self-harm, all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, this
but
is.
You talked to my friend, so okay.
Right. This is what I'm thinking at first. Okay, yeah, you could have talked to my friend. Then she threw out some shit that, like, literally only me and my sister would know. Nobody else, like, spot on details. Like, I can't even explain to you how mind blown I was by some of the shit she said to me.
So she was like the real deal.
The real deal. The real deal. And at the end of it, she tells me, I want you to know that she still loves you. And right now she is going through a phase where she is exploring and doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. And I'm like,
that makes sense.
I'm like, okay. She said, I want you to know that it's going to take 2 years. She said, it's going to take 2 years. But there's going to be a point not so long down the road where she realizes what she lost. She realizes that you were the love of her life. And in 2 years, she is going to come back to you. And she said, however, I do not want you to wait around for her. She said, she's out there having her fun. She's doing her stuff. She goes, date, be affectionate, be intimate. She's doing that. She's like, you need to do this. And she's like, because if you wait around, it's going to ruin you. And she said, when she comes back to you, she said, you are going to question everything that she's done, and you're going to focus on everything that she's done, and your life will not be happy. She said, if you go out and you date and you do all this stuff and you distract yourself, she said, when you come back together, you are going to have the happiest life together that you've ever had. And she said, you remind me of me and my husband. And I went, how so? And she said, we got married at a young age. We had a couple of kids right off the bat, and we got divorced. And she said, the entire time we were apart, all I could do was think of him and miss him. And she said, I saw him once in a while because of the kids. She said, but all of a sudden, we tried again and we got back together. And she's like, we have been married happily and together for like 30 years. And
Wow.
she said, the break, and she goes, it just needed to happen. And she said, we are better now and happier. And she said, we've never had a problem. And she said, I see that for you guys. And again, now I've talked to a psychic who's given me hope, but I don't know. The longer it goes, the more healing I'm doing. Like, do I really want to go back to somebody who put me through this? And then the other part of me who knows how much I fucking love this woman. Like, would I go back to her tomorrow? No. I don't even want to talk to her yet. Initially, I wanted to fix it immediately. Now, I don't want to because I'm not ready. I'm not ready to speak to her yet. I need time now. It's just where it's me calling the shots now. You know, it's like maybe after a year or something, if she called, yeah, I want that explanation. I do want to talk. I do want answers. But when I'm ready now.
So what I'm hearing is that we're going to have to do a follow-up in a year and a follow-up in 2 years. Most definitely a follow-up in 2 years.
It's
dying to know now.
Yeah.
I say yes. We definitely need. There needs to be follow up.
But even if nothing comes of it in 2 years, getting back out there, probably a good thing.
Right. And that's the thing, you know. She said, "I know it's hard. You have to give yourself permission to do that, and that's very hard to do."
That's because take a little bit of time.
Even when I went to my physical, my doctor's a female. That was the first person who's touched me in my private regions outside of her in over 2 years, and you know what I mean. It felt like I was cheating. Granted, she's just, you know, handling the nuts a little bit, but it's just like, it just felt wrong. You know, it just felt so awkward. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot to deal with. The one thing that she told me though too, the psychic said is, and I don't know how many weeks it's been, but she said, I want you to know, I know your heart is with Marie, and I know that you will love Marie until the day you die. Now, I have 2 plans. Well, one, she told me, well, she did tell me, she said, I want you to know that in 12 weeks, you are going to find somebody who is going to challenge your thought that you're never going to be able to love again. And I'm like, oh, shit, okay. Now I'm going to start like, I should mark the calendar. Who's going to be the person to make me think I can love again potentially? But on the 1 year anniversary, I was going to do it on our anniversary, which would be January 26th, which would have been our 3 years together. But I decided to wait until March 16th because, you know, that was 4 days before my birthday, and that's when she ended things. I decided the way I'm going to get closure over this is my sister and I are going to Branson. We are going to the exact spot that we got engaged, and I'm throwing that fucking ring over that waterfall where I proposed to her. And, you know, one of my friends
I approve of that.
Yeah, one of my friends said it's a bit dramatic, and I'm like, who cares? It's the way that I feel like I'm going to actually get closure for this.
Why are you not allowed to be dramatic every once in a while? Come on now. This is your life. Well, this is your heart, your soul.
And the person who said that is a rather flamboyant gay man, and he's pretty dramatic. So, you know, just in general.
As soon as I heard flamboyant, it's like, that's dramatic.
Yeah, exactly. So I can be dramatic, but that's what's going to happen.
Hello.
Right, exactly.
Okay, you do that just a bit too well, my dear.
I used to watch Men on Film and stuff from In Living Color.
I know.
There you go. Yep. But that's how I'm going to get the closure, I think, is going back, and I'm going to Facebook Live it, and I'm not going to be shitty about it. I'm not going to rip on her the least bit. I'll probably acknowledge how much I love her still and how I wish the best for her.
In the entire time I have known you, in the entire time that you and I have spoke, I have never heard you say a bad word about her. I have heard you say, I don't understand who this person is now.
Right.
But you've never badmouthed her.
And nobody would have blamed you if you did.
No. I've said that. I've told him that, you know, nobody would blame you if you know, drop the see you next Tuesday word or something like that about her.
Right. And I've told you that even some of my coworkers, you know, that have bad mouthed her, I can't take it. I can't take them talking bad about it. It drives me fucking crazy. And she's put me through hell. She has put me through hell. I almost took my life because of this person. Yet, I can tell you that I still feel like she's the love of my life. Like she is who I was supposed to be with. Maybe that'll change one day, but I wish I had a switch. I wish I could turn feelings off.
Mm.
You know, if we're not meant to be, I wish I could find the right person that would make me feel that way again. Because, and ironically, this is something that's so funny too. And I think I told you about this last week, Rebecca. I was going through my old Facebook videos, which I don't do often. I have a few times. Usually I look at pictures, but I don't go through my videos. And again, you know, there lies our videos from our engagement trip and other stuff. But I just see my face in this one and I click on it. And it is literally, I made this video 3 days before I met Marie. 3 days. Where
Wow.
it says, you know what? It's time for me to take my life back. It's time for me to be happy. It's time for me to not let myself get hurt. It's time for me to just take control and be a better me. And I really feel sorry for the person that I end up with in my life that ends up being with me, because they are not going to get the best version of me. And I tell you, 3 days later, I met the love of my life and gave her everything. She got the best version of me by far. So I just found that to be a little bit coincidental. Now, I do feel bad for the next person I date, should it happen, because, yeah, I don't know if I'll be ready, how long it'll take. It's just, I don't know, man.
So just go out and have some fun. Don't make it serious.
And you know what? Yeah, it's hard to do, though. It's hard to meet people. I don't go to bars that often. You saw what happened the last time I went to a bar, met her. But I just, you know, my days off are usually during the week. I've been brave to try it. Like, you know, I want to go back to the horse races so bad, but that was something we did together, and I've planned on doing it 4 times, and I've canceled all 4 times. I did get brave enough to go to our favorite restaurant a few weeks back. Me and my roommate went there to eat, and that was really hard because we would eat there like twice a month probably. Everybody knows me there, you know. And I got a little teary-eyed being in there with memories and stuff, but it's just the triggers. There are so many triggers, and I mean, I know the therapist told me to expect them. They're just going to be there, and there are. I mean, from, like I said, I told you guys, the person at work being named the same name. I mean, it doesn't matter everywhere. It could be a commercial or a song or something, and it just feels like it's a gut check. Even today, it sounds crazy. Today I was, you know, she didn't really keep that many sentimental objects at all. She didn't keep any pictures of us. She didn't keep much of anything. And today I was going through my shoes, and out falls the very first keychain that I ever bought her that says "I love you" on it. And I'm thinking, you know, right before the podcast, right before this is happening, you know, here's another little subtle jab. You know, just a little stick in the belly. But
yeah. But Kat actually threw out something pretty good, actually. I mean, Kat's pretty smart. I don't like admitting it, but she is. Said, don't, and in quote, dates. Just go out as friends with someone, picnics, meals, out, different restaurants, etc. Build new memories, basically.
Yeah. There's just a lot of old memories around here.
Yeah.
Everywhere. So it's just getting brave enough. I mean, you know, I was journaling for the entire time since we broke up, and that's where you will see those "see you next Tuesday" words in those journals. You know, you'll see stuff like that.
Can't understand normal thinking.
Yeah. I've been writing songs. It's something I used to do a long time ago, and I've started again. Rebecca can tell you I have.
I've heard it.
They don't suck.
Really good, actually.
So when you say writing songs, how do you mean by writing songs?
He does. He's got lyrics right now, like amazing lyrics.
I started writing a song about Marie before we ever broke up. Before I ever knew anything was wrong. I loved her like that, and I decided I wanted to start writing again. It had been so many years, so I started a song, and then we broke up, and I just can't. I want to finish it, but I can't bring myself to do it. So I started a different song, and it's kind of based off of everything that happened, like our relationship from the time we met, and how it fell apart. And I see myself as more of a country music writer than anything. It just fits. I decided I was going to try and occupy myself, so I actually bought a guitar, and I'm trying to learn how to play acoustic guitar now. So
nice.
But a couple weeks back when the Kennedy Center Honors was on, and I'm a huge Kelly Clarkson, and she performed, they were honoring Garth Brooks on there, and she performed Garth Brooks' The Dance, and I sat here sobbing watching that performance. And after I watched it, I shut off the TV, and I literally just sang out loud to myself. I'm really good at writing lyrics, but finding a chorus is my problem. Choruses are that's where I just get stuck. But I literally sang out loud the first two lines of what would come to be the chorus to the song. And of course I cried some more, but it just fit. And I was like, oh my God. And I put it together, and I think I called you, Rebecca.
He did.
Told you. Or I couldn't say it to you, could I? Because I was too miserable. Did I take a picture of it?
No, you took a picture of it or typed it out or something, but you sent me the words.
Yeah. And we ended up changing the last line. It just felt better. But it just, I don't know. So I want to continue with that. I want to learn to play the guitar. And I love to sing, even though I don't do it very well.
Everybody says that.
Right. I don't do it very well.
I say that all the time.
Right, but I mean, I think you've heard me sing, maybe.
I have.
And it was horrible, right?
No, it was not.
I'm one of the few people.
Not at all.
I'm one of the few people that'll say, "Yeah, I actually sing pretty well," but it took me a long time to get there. It took me a long time to get there.
I'm all right. I'm all right. That's all I'll give myself.
Yeah,
I'm all right.
You're really good.
I've heard you sing. You sing lovely.
Yes.
Especially Disney songs.
I know.
Right.
I like me a Disney song.
Do you want to do some cocaine? It's just a little bit of blow.
Do you want to hunt a demon? Come on, let's get a blade.
Oh. Now all we need is a paranormal podcast.
Oh, they're out there.
Oh. I would so do that whole paranormal podcast thing. Yep. Oh my God.
And then Kat was just saying that Edward has a great speaking voice. And I was saying earlier that you kind of remind me of a less raspy Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, I actually when I was in broadcasting school, I mean, I kept getting embarrassed because the teachers would want me to go into the booth and like be their example for everything, and I'm like, come on, there's other students in this class. But it was actually one of the local sports hosts from 790 that came in to teach one of our classes, and of course that's right up my alley. I'm a huge sports fan, so when he basically had us go in and he gave us a sheet with a bunch of scores on it and told us to go in, give segues into 3 different scores, present our little, scoreboard to everybody and do it. And when I came out of there, he goes, "You've never worked in this industry in your life." And I said, "No." And he goes, I need you to see me after class.
Nice.
And I said, okay. And that's how I got the internship. He goes, dude, you are a natural. Like, half these people didn't even know what a Segway was. And he said, and you just rocked from one thing right into the next. And he's like, you're going to have a future in this. And that's why, after that baseball season of doing the PA announcing, that's when I got the back surgery. And then that's when the divorce happened. That's when everything else happened. So, it's been me putting my life back together as it is. Now, I do have some contacts in the horse racing industry, which I'm hoping when you go 7 years of recovering from a back surgery, your child support tends to build up. And so my child support built up, and the government, of course, took my license. So now that I have that all that's taken care of now, I can get my license back. But as you know, with the country being shut down, I made my appointment to get my license back, last month, the month before? And that appointment is in the middle of September, toward the end of September. So I still have to wait that long to get my license back. And yeah, but then I'd love to get back into broadcasting. I mean, it was so much fun, but I know that things changed drastically. So, I mean, I can only imagine what a board looks like now in a studio compared to what it looked like when I went. It's been 15 years since I graduated, so.
All right, so can you segue into a score of, sadly, your favorite team losing to your most hated rival?
Oh, well, see, I'd rather do the better because...
Well, yeah, but I want to give you a challenge.
Well, I mean, I just lived this last night. That's why it's so fresh, I can tell you, how do we want to segue into this? The red-hot San Diego Padres continued their dominance last night of the Los Angeles Dodgers, sweeping the series in Game 3, 5-3 over the... Oh, God, now I can't even remember who started pitching for the Dodgers last night, but,
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. And I mean,
wait, you're a Dodgers fan?
No, I'm a Padre.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm a Giants fan, and I did live in San Diego for about 6 years, and I did fall in love with the Padres and the Chargers.
Yeah.
But I'm a 49er and Giants fan first.
I am a 49er fan as well.
Oh God.
Not a Chargers fan. I did go to the games with my grandfather. He had season tickets to the Chargers, and I went to every one. The only time I didn't cheer for the Chargers was when the 49ers were in town, and that was because my dad was a huge 49ers fan because his best friend's uncle growing up was Hall of Fame running back Hugh McElhaney, if you know that name.
I do know that name.
Yeah. So,
I've watched some old highlight films of him.
Yeah. So, yeah, my dad raised me as a 49er fan.
There was a guy that I met that had the old miner with the pistol in the air and the pistol between the legs shooting the old original logo.
Yeah, nice.
And Ford just chimed in, Charger fan here. Yeah, he's a Chargers fan, all right.
Yeah.
But no, actually, I got to meet Drew Brees when he was going he was standing in front of me in line, picking up his moving van to go to New Orleans when I was moving to Sacramento. So, yeah.
Class act, though. Super nice guy.
Super nice guy. Got to shake his hand, got to chat a little bit. Super nice guy. Like, I mean, you can't hate this guy unless he destroys your team on the field.
Right.
And even then, you have to sit back and go, damn it. Well, couldn't have lost to a better person.
Exactly. I agree. Completely.
And Roger Craig did not make the Hall of Fame, being the first player in history to have 1,000 yards rushing and receiving in the same season.
Yeah.
How did he get snubbed?
Yeah, I have no clue. Notice that the girls have checked out.
Yep. Every time sports comes up.
I was just thinking, I've only met one professional football player, and that was Bubba Smith.
Oh, well.
Nice.
That's a big boy.
Yeah.
Who is an absolute sweetheart.
Yeah, the only other player I got to meet, it was very briefly, was Jerry Rice.
I still would love, I don't have that many Funko Pops. I collect a few of them, ones that are important to me. So, I have Joe Montana. I have Kevin Owens because he's my favorite wrestler. I just love the heel throwback that he is, I just got my Fernando Tatis Jr. Padres one, just stuff like that.
All I know is that when I met Drew Brees, I was glad I was wearing my white pants.
Oh. Nice.
Oh my god.
Deadpool reference.
I fucking love you. You know that.
So we do have we have literally just under 15 minutes left now. We are coming up on the 3-hour mark.
Damn. And here I was wondering if I was going to get 30 minutes in.
I told you were going to do better than you thought you were.
And we still have people in the chat, which is...
Like, you've held the audience.
Yeah.
All three of you, thank you. No.
There was a few more at one point, but, some of them are on the East Coast, so they really can't, it gets late.
Yeah.
But the two that are in there right now that I know that are still in there for sure, West Coast.
Nice.
Kat just wished you all the best, and 4 just did maximum effort.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you for...
Kat is one of the best that we have as far as listeners go, and our listeners are the best, but Kat is, fiercely loyal.
I was like, if there's any listener that knows what you're going through, I think, aside from E, obviously, because he's been through something similar, but 4 would really... understand
I'm
as
glad
well.
that 4 came in on this one.
Me too, because he is essentially how I consider both of you from the short amount of time that I known him. He is a genuinely good man, and he has a good heart.
I hate my heart sometimes, though.
Well, I hate mine sometimes too. Do you know how often I've put up with things from people because I love them, and there are things that I should not tolerate at all, but I do, because I don't have that meanness in me. I can't. It is very hard for me to stand up for myself.
And then Ford just said, "Our hearts are with you, buddy."
Appreciate that.
And then thank you from 4 from you, Bexy. And then Kat, thank you for sharing, and please update us when things turn around.
I shall do that. I will absolutely do that.
And we'd love to see you in the chat room.
Yes.
You can always disguise yourself, too. People have done that.
Yeah, it's I had to request this day off to do this. We'll see how many Thursdays I get off, and then I can always, I can catch the replays and stuff. But I would love to. I'd love to get more Thursdays off and be involved more. It's just...
And I wish Floating Duck would have shown up.
Oh my gosh, yes.
There's a guy, I figured out who he is finally, who comes in as Floating Duck, and every time he comes in, he's a comedic wrecking ball. It's just...
He is... Okay.
And his image is like a 12-story tall floating rubber duck going down a river.
He is absolutely hilarious, and the comments are so perfectly timed. They are just, oh my god!
They the first read, it's almost like they're out of left field, but then after you really let it sink in, they are dead on. They're just so outrageous. Love you, Floating Duck. I hope you're listening. No, I won't forget to call you for. So you have anything to wrap up with? Because we have about 10 minutes.
No, I was going to do... You were talking about athletes you met. I think I've met plenty over the years. Just
you wrestled.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's people people that are on TV right now that I've shared a ring with. Yeah, like Frankie Kazarian. I think he's over in AEW. God, he's been around for many years. Cena was wrestling on the same coast as I, but we never were in the same show. Carl Anderson, Brian Kendrick. God, the minute I saw that guy wrestle, I knew he was going to be a superstar, and he was. He's been around a long time, but I think he's officially retired or like a producer now. But I've seen a few of those decent names come through, and one guy I actually thought that was going to just go all the way, and he ended up getting injured, and he's been very sick over the last few years, my buddy Tommy, and I thought he was going to go all the way. I mean, the guy was 6'6", California blonde, just best.
That is a big man.
Yeah, and he, honest to God, I have never seen... He has made me laugh I've never seen anybody wrestle themselves, and it sounds crazy, but he put on a match. It was him against himself. Like, he literally would take himself, beat his own ass, get into the corner, whip himself across the room to get up on the top rope, flip himself off the rope. I mean, he wrestled a match against himself. It was one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
That shit needs to be televised.
Oh, oh my God.
Wrestling against, like, the Invisible Man. That would be so fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, and that was during, like, one of my early training sessions at the Lions Den. Like, it was still, like, I just remember sitting there on the bench laughing my ass off. And I knew, I was like, this guy and me are going to be best friends. Like, there's just no doubt about it. Like that, yeah. But yeah, as far as me goes in general, the reason I was talking about athletes is where I work has a bar, and it doesn't matter, company policy, you have to show your ID. You could be 90 years old in front of me, and you have to show your ID for my cameras. It has to happen. So I get this ex-Cowboys player in there trying to show me his Wikipedia profile and his sports cards because he doesn't have his ID with him. And he's like flashing these pictures like, this is me. I used to be a kicker, a backup kicker, but I was a kicker and this and that. And he's going nuts. He flipped the fuck out because I wouldn't serve him alcohol. Because he didn't have...
Policy is policy. Doesn't matter who you are.
Exactly.
It sounds like you could be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and still get that treatment.
You got to show your ID.
You'd be like, who else has this tattoo? Doesn't matter.
Ironically, I can't believe I'm going to do this.
Why in my head he's talking about a kicker in football? Why in my head am I just hearing
There's
Ray
the bull
Finkel?
right there.
Ray Finkel.
Nice.
Laces out.
Einhorn.
I missed everything Rebecca said. Everything.
She was talking about, to hear about kicker, she's talking about Ray Finkel. Laces out.
Oh. Yeah.
Ace Ventura.
Nice. We're going all the way back there.
Bexy's in one of her moods.
She would have kidnapped the dolphin. She likes animals too much.
Yeah. We're gonna eat a dolphin. No, we're gonna go pet a dolphin.
Right.
If you ever watch Multiplicity.
Oh, Multiplicity's great.
Fucking love it.
I like pizza.
She took my Peppy, Steve.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you bring me a monkey?
Right. Yep. Yep.
Oh, God. If that didn't showcase just how genuinely hilarious Michael Keaton is, nothing will.
Right. So many people have not seen that movie, and I'm like,
I love that movie.
It's one of the greatest underwatched and underrated movies in history. It is so goddamn funny.
It is. It's hilarious.
I just love how he keeps calling number 4. He's calling Steve. I just need to know what you want. Pizza. I want pizza.
You know. Oh my God.
And just the way he's eating and drinking, where does that all go? I'm sitting there going, dude, you're doing it yourself. How the and I don't know where it's all going, and I eat fast.
He folds up the piece of pizza in his wallet. I remember that part.
Oh, gosh.
Now I have to go watch that movie again.
Yeah, totally.
We almost went a whole episode without talking about movies. Almost.
Yeah.
Almost. Right. It's inevitable. I'm sorry. I'm goofy as hell, and eventually I'm going to get off track and movies are going to be mentioned.
Well, you know what? I mean, if you think about it, my story is good enough. If depending on what kind of ending it has, whether it be her and I end up back together down the road, we never speak again, I never get any answers, I move on to a new love, who the hell knows? But I say we make everything into a movie that I've been through.
There we go. So basically what you're saying is the difference between Butterfly Effect theatrical cut and director's cut.
Right.
Because those were, man, that director's cut hit hard. It made the theatrical cut just garbage in my mind.
I just have one request. When you sell this to Hollywood and they start making this movie, do not let some string bean actress play my part. At least make her chunky. stay true to life. You know.
Well, let me put it this way: you know the actress from This Is Us.
I do not know that show. I don't watch it.
Oh God, I can't remember her name. She's a big girl. She's been in a couple movies too, but it's killing me. I want to look it up so bad right now.
I'm doing it right now.
Are you? Okay.
I was gonna say, give him a sec. He'll find it.
Yeah.
He's
Anyway,
sitting in front of a computer.
Marie and her used to work together in California.
Oh.
And I've seen pictures of them together. They absolutely hated each other.
Chrissy Metz?
Chrissy Metz, yes. Chrissy Metz.
That's actually, looking at her, that's a good choice.
Yes. She apparently accused...
Okay, I saw some of this. This show's amazing.
Oh, This Is Us?
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't realize it until I saw some of the scenes. I was like, oh my God, I remember watching that.
I have not missed an episode, and I cry at least every other one, I think. But yes, Marie used to work with her at a CVS pharmacy in California before she was, an actress and blowing up. And Chrissy Metz happened to accuse my ex of trying to steal her boyfriend and wanting to fight her. And yeah. So I thought that was kind of funny. So Marie would not watch my This Is Us with me just because Chrissy Metz was on it.
All right, so yeah, we only got about 3 minutes left. So
That's fine, man.
Thank you for coming and sharing. Seriously, really appreciate it.
I'm so happy to do this.
Yeah, we definitely need updates as things unfurl.
Yes.
And if you want to add me on Facebook, by all means, just realize that there are times I'm super active, and then there's times that I'm in jail. So
yeah, no problem at all. I will get your information from Rebecca, and we will link up for damn sure.
Sounds good. In the meantime, for everybody else that's listening, hit that like button. Follow us on Spreaker. Get the Spreaker app. That way, if I happen to forget to send a notification, sorry, May and Tommy, you'll get notified. So I don't have to try to remember everybody, because that's a long list of people I notify. Other than that, we'll see you next week. Thank you again, Edward. Really appreciate it. I'm E.
I'm Bexy.
I'm C.
And we'll see you next week.